Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us. Holy shit, do we have an episode for you today.
Good.
I'll start off and explain this a little bit. Tomorrow was supposed to be this show live.
Yes.
We did this was a live show we did, this particular episode. We did it one time in Phoenix, and then we were supposed to do it again in Nashville, and then we were going to put it out next week. Yeah. So Nashville is supposed to be tomorrow. Yeah. Since that is not happening now, and it's been rescheduled for January, we'll have a whole new live show for that and everything, and we're going to do this now to give those people that waited so long for it, at least give them the episode. And for everybody else, it's one of the greatest things ever, and I've been saving it for 4 years, and it's just fantastic. It's New Jack, everybody. Yes. Holy shit. Oh, it's amazing. Full disclosure, I love this man. He's he's fantastic. He's hilarious. He's smart. He's
dangerous.
Dangerous as shit. I mean, he's as dangerous as, like, if you gave a raccoon with rabies, HGH, and a lot of meth.
And a switchblade.
And gave him a knowledge of how to hurt people, like an anatomical knowledge. Right. That's New Jack. And he's amazing and funny as shit.
If you show that raccoon on the doll where it will die.
He's not. He's not shy. Yeah. He's not ashamed of shit. And he's a good goddamn time. So, buckle up for that, New Jack. It's a wrestling episode, so brain damage sports, and he actually has some damage from a particular thing, but we'll get into all of that. Okay. Holy, I'm so excited. This is great. But first, before we get into that, very quickly, please, if you haven't done it yet, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts would be wonderful. Get on there. Trust us. This takes forever to put together. It takes you 30 seconds, even if you have to sign in. Right. Who cares? Say something, doesn't matter. Say you're following instructions, following directions. It helps the show on the business end, helps drive us up the charts. We have no idea why. Don't blame us. That's it. So go to shutupandgivememurder.com for all of your crime and sports and your small town murder needs as well. If you're not listening to Small Town Murder, what are you doing?
That's so much fun.
Yeah. Don't you like it when we cover murders? Yeah, that's that. Except a lot of times there's hillbillies and rednecks running around. Trust us. Check it out. Small Town Murder. You'll have a very good time there. But get all your merchandise there. Oh, also listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie on Fridays, where, good Lord, I'm subjected to horrible romantic comedies that I must just rant about for an hour. So that's a lot of fun. Check that out. And also, if you want to get tickets to these live shows, they're being rescheduled as we go. And if you get tickets to whatever show, you'll have the tickets to whenever they're rescheduled. So get on in there. The live shows are amazing. So get on that.
Our state is on fire, and it's not stopping.
Yeah, we're not allowed to go. Technically, most states won't even, if we tried to go, we'd have to sit in a hotel for 14 days before we'd be allowed to go outside. So that's how it works here. That's how bad it is in Arizona. So it's just not happening at the moment. But hopefully by
if we had the time, though, I swear to God, those shows would be unbelievable. 14 days of you
still do
pissed
it.
off from being by the valet
in a shitty hotel with fucking terrible food for 14 days. I wouldn't even sit for the whole show. I'd be pacing back and forth. Jimmy'd be sitting in the chair.
Your nose,
James, can you sit now, please?
Your nose would be permanently crinkled from the inedible road.
Oh, it'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. So get your tickets to that.
Age-wrinkled nose.
You fucking know it. And if you want to be a hero of ours, not only a hero, a producer, and you get some shit for that too. It's not just for us. First of all, you get to hear Jimmie mispronounce your name,
who doesn't want
probably horribly at the end of the show. And also, you get bonus material Holy shit, the bonus. Tons of bonus material for both crime and sports and small town murder. Right. And at the $5 Patreon level, you get access to all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. We just did the prisoner dating game, all violent felon edition last week for small town murder. You really want to hear that. That's hilarious. A lot of fun there. Next week for crime and sports on Patreon, we are doing the Vince McMahon steroid scandal and trial and all that shit, the huge federal trial. We're going to get into everything there on Patreon next week.
We should sell that to Love After Lockup, that they should do a dating game.
It's amazing.
Where it's just that.
Why not? That they're doing the show anyway.
You don't get to know their charges till after you fall in love with them.
That's the thing. And then you go, my.
What have I done?
Oh, shit. Like Jimmie did this week where
Jesus.
He picked a lady who is, she makes New Jack look like a real calm gentleman, put it that way.
A real monster.
Oh, yeah. So check on that. That is patreon.com/crime and sports. And like I said, $5 or above. And if you just want to be a great person who's got good karma and help out the show, you can do that as well over on PayPal. And that is use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. Let's get into it, Jimmie.
All right.
It's a doozy. Okay. We have to. We had our live shows are crazy. We use it crazy. We did Edwin Valero, who was insane and killed his wife
and the kids. Or just the wife?
I think just the wife.
Stabbed her good, though.
Yeah, he was nuts. He just went nuts. There was him, and then Hollywood Henderson, who had remember he fucked a disabled girl's face?
Right.
We remember that in a wheelchair.
Terrible man.
Terrible, but then he turned it all around. He won the lottery twice. He's like, what a crazy story that is. Like, if that
undeserved lottery winner ever.
Yeah, that's one of those movies where you'd be like, that's a load of horse shit. What a stupid movie, but it happened.
It's the darkest Forrest Gump ever.
Yes, that's what I mean. So we do the crazy ones live, and tonight we up the ante, Jimmie.
Great.
Again with New Jack, a wrestler. Jerome Young is his real name, and New Jack. He's this.
You can see how you get there.
Yeah, he's a
Jerome Young, New Jack.
New Jack. Well, he takes his wrestling name, so I mean that's how that works.
Never adds up.
No, who knows? I mean, I guess Hulk is sort of big guy, and that sort of shit works. Sometimes they work, but New Jack, it makes sense later on. But first of all, we have to say this about this episode. There will be, because there's a lot of New Jack quotes, because I went through tons of interviews of New Jack from over the years. He's a very voluble kind of guy.
Verbose.
Talks a lot, does a lot of long shoot interviews. So there's a whole lot of footage of him. And he's drunk, he's high, he's all fucked up, he's saying crazy shit. Sometimes he's calm and sober, and all through the years. So he says a lot of crazy shit. Now, I purposely did not watch the Dark Side of the Ring of New Jack.
Oh, really?
On purpose, yes. Didn't do it. It wasn't out before I did the original one.
Got it.
And then I went to watch it, and I was like, no, I don't want to know what they did. I looked at all these interviews that were honestly fresher from the time of a lot of this stuff as well. So people's stories change over time and they get more self-serving, and I don't know if that's the case there, but I just wanted to stick with kind of the over time put together research that I did here. So let's do it. New Jack, Jerome Young, date of birth January 3rd, 1963. He grows up in Greensboro, North Carolina. Old New Jack here.
Outside of Charlotte.
Yeah, now he has 4 brothers and a sister that he grows up with, but they're spread out in age a good deal.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where, his one brother's in Vietnam when he's a kid, you know what I mean? So that's a good amount of spread.
That's a 20-year spread.
Yeah, it's a good spread, which, I mean, that's, I guess.
How old is Mom?
Common. That, I'm not sure her exact age here, but 2 of his brothers ended up in Vietnam.
Jesus.
Yes. One of his brothers got sent home for mental problems and ended up in a mental institution.
Jesus.
So, now that we don't know if that's
from the war.
We don't know if that's a PTSD thing, or we don't know if
he may have been fucked up before he went in.
That's what I mean, or we don't know if that's a kind of a genetic thing. Who knows? But New Jack is, as smart as he is, stable is not the first thing I would call him. But a lot of it is calculated, and he's got a calculated crazy to him that you just have to fucking admire. You just have to admire it. I don't know. So, his sister left home when she was 16, which is usually a bad sign that the home is not great if teenage girls.
It's rare that 16-year-olds have all this opportunity elsewhere.
That's what I mean. And it was more common back then for a 16-year-old to run away, because kids used to get married when they were 18 all the time back then. That was common. But still, 16 is usually like, oh, there's some problems or something going on. Apparently, Dad was what New Jack called a very violent alcoholic. So not only an alcoholic, but fucking violent as well. His parents had issues. the whole time. His parents are always arguing, and here is New Jack talking about his dad.
Oh, boy.
New Jack said, quote, "My dad was an alcoholic, and he was a violent alcoholic. One time, him and my mom got in an argument, and she was leaving, right? She was leaving with me. She went to put me in the car, and he ran out the back door with a gun, with a shotgun, and shot her in the back of the leg while she was holding me.
No.
Putting me in the car, okay? Okay, so that's one story.
The start.
That's one
How old?
story of dad. Oh, I mean, small enough for mom to hold.
Holy
so,
shit.
I mean, under 5, I guess probably. Another one here. And then one time he said that he was told by one of his friends that she was cheating on him. And she was a nurse at the time. And I remember her coming in the house. She had this white dress on, a nursing dress. And she came in the house and she came in there and they started arguing. And he pulled a knife out and started stabbing her. And he's stabbing her like 5-6 times. And I'm standing there right there looking like, and I watched her dress go from white to red. And she called the police and the ambulance and they came and got her and they took him to jail. It wasn't too long after that he died.
Oh my God.
So yeah, this is when his dad died when he was 5.
Yeah.
So all this happened pre-5.
Oh my God.
So this is,
That's not a hypercolor shirt. That's actual blood.
That's for real. Yeah. That's not they put your hand on it and it's warm. This is,
oh boy.
That's a lot for a 5-year-old to see.
It's a lot of blood.
It's a lot of blood and also a lot of who do you trust? Because if that's your dad and as a child, you're trained to trust your parents and then your dad can snap and start shooting your mom or stabbing her. That you got to have a real leery sense about you of everybody on earth after that.
And if you admire your dad and that's how he treats your mom, that's how you figure you're supposed to treat women?
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, see, here's the thing about Jack. This is where he's torn, and this is from several interviews. Now, he looks up to his dad at the same time as hating his dad for doing all this terrible shit to his mom and, obviously causing him this damage. But he's also mad at his mom for how she treated his dad, which is a weird thing. We'll get into this here. His childhood is...
He hates them both.
His childhood's fucked. Yeah, it's fucked. He blames everybody. He's very angry, which is understandable for, this childhood. He says that his dad died when he was 5. Jack says that his dad had a heart attack, quote, with the assistance of my mom.
Okay.
So that doesn't sound good. His mom's a nurse. So he says that the whole family, I don't know what that entails, but the entire family knows that she poisoned him at the hospital, is what Jack said. So apparently she had access to drugs, is what he's saying, and
she's not keeping it a secret.
The whole family knows about it. That she killed him. Now Jack says that his mom told him, quote, "I didn't kill your dad. I only gave him something to feel better," because I guess she gave him something. That
seems like a conflict of interest. I can't believe they would allow that.
I don't think they were allowing it. I think she's just a nurse, and it's also like 1968, so there's not exactly the tight, controlled. There just isn't. It's not as controlled.
Hospital policies.
No, it's really, they probably had a fucking open locker full of drugs, just in the hallway, with like a curtain in front of it. You just open it up and there was like just any drug you wanted there, probably. Who knows?
Don't worry. I got his medicine this hour.
I'll take care of him here. But Jack also says that she had an insurance policy on him as well.
And that's what I mean by conflict of interest.
You can't be treating someone that it's a direct profit if you kill. That's
conflict as fuck.
That's a real conflict there. And also she could go, it's more like a medical fuck up than a wife wanting to kill the husband.
And a man who stabbed her and shot her.
Yeah, there's motivation to want to kill someone for money in that situation. Not that we know what happened. So he says that she had an insurance policy on the father and that she also had an insurance policy on a brother of his that died in 2015. So Jack is suspicious of his mom, period. He says that he, quote, never liked his mother. So, I mean...
Not even when she was shielding you from shotgun pellets?
I never liked her.
Maybe you should like her then.
Didn't care for her.
It's very sweet of her.
Well, she was getting stabbed. I was like, she deserves this. You know what? Bitch deserves it. I'm sorry.
Remember when you bought cheese nips? Those are not Cheez-Its.
They're not Cheez-Its. They're
Deal
nips.
with it.
That's for buying Hydrox. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oreos only, please. You know the Hydrox are waxy as fuck, and I will not eat them. I just won't. I'm sorry.
Who even wants nips? That's disgusting.
Yeah, no one wants a cheese
awful.
nip. I'll still eat them in a pinch, but I want a nip.
That's all that's in the closet.
Oh, I'll eat over a nip any day. No one's buying cheese nips. That's what I mean.
That's all the stewardess has.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're on like a flight and they come with some shitty basket and you're like, well, I can either have, what is that, a bran bar? I don't want that right now.
Was that a banana that I just saw the other two people pick up and put back?
Fucking paw, put back, bruise further.
Cheese nips it is.
I guess I'm nipping it. So, fuck it.
The worst cracker ever made.
So, they are awful. Ugh. So, Jack, well, I don't know if they're the worst ever. There's some bad crackers out there.
You can call it nips if you want, but leave the word cheese out of it because they don't taste like cheese.
No,
there's no cheese to it.
They're crunchy and salty.
Yeah.
I'll
call
say
them crunch salts.
Crunchy salt nips would be fine.
That's all right.
I would be okay with that.
I'll co-sign on that.
Yeah, that's fine. Crunchy, salty nips. There you go.
Just get the fuck away from the cheese. There's no cheese in this.
Is it because
it's orange? Is that why?
That's why, yeah. We'll just it's an orange flavor, and it's square, and it looks like a Cheez-It. It's like a GoBot. It's a robot that turns into a fucking motorcycle, so that transforms. It's sort of a transformer. So Jack says, quote, about his mom here. Oh, my God. Quote, I always used to tell her when I was a kid, I wish she had been the one who died. I always used to tell. That started out so warm, didn't it? I always used to tell my mom. Most athletes, like I think last week, Michael Ray Richardson told his exact quote was like, I always used to tell my mom, you're not going to have to do this forever. Someday I'm going to get you out of here and buy you a house, as he rubbed her feet after a long shift at the
16-hour feet
shift at the hospital. This guy, his mom gets home from the hospital and he tells her,
home, Ma.
He tells her,
always wish it was you.
I wish you would have died. I always used to tell my mom when I was a kid, I wish she had been the one who died. You know what? We need it in this with the piano music in the background. It's really going to be good here. So let's go ahead and do, in their own words, quote, I always used to tell her when I was a kid, I wish she had been the one who had died. I never liked her. I hated her. I used to have to hear her in the other room, screwing other men in the bed my dad slept in.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah.
Holy shit.
So, Jack.
That's a hell of a phrase.
That's a phrase.
Yeah.
That needed it in their own words, I believe. That needs soft piano music over it.
The second part, follow-up, is even grosser.
Oh, the whole thing is correct. But as you can imagine, he hated his mom, even though his dad shot her and stabbed her, and then he's mad at his mom for this. You can imagine his attitude toward women as he gets older is not wonderful, we'll say. But shockingly, his violence is rarely toward women. Most of the time, it's definitely toward men.
That is something that horrifies me, though, is my children one day hearing me fuck. I don't want that ever.
Why would you want that? Or why should that happen?
No, but that's what I mean. Like, he's upset with it.
Yeah.
I don't want them to ever hear that and fucking hate me for the rest of my life over it.
Small house, thin walls.
Yeah.
I mean, you better be careful in there.
Listen, I was young. Yeah. I witnessed it myself, and I hate it.
It's nothing anyone wants to deal with. Luckily, they have noise-canceling headphones and shit now. Kids have, like, Beats on there.
Duct tape that to their
head. They can fucking tune it out.
I'm going to fuck her. Put these on.
If Jack had some Beats, I'm just saying, I feel like his whole life would have changed and been different. If he was just, like, listening to, it was just, like, the late 60s. He's, like, just put, like, the spinners on and sat there and hung out. I really feel like...
I don't know, that feels
put some Bobby Womack, and he's like, yeah, this is good.
It feels very code word to me, though. Like, if you just, like, threw those to your kid, it'd be like, great, he would know. Fucking now.
He would know once the sun goes down, headphones go on. Like,
just every night.
Because he doesn't want to hear it. His mom's not concerned about it. He's like, I can't hear mom fucking anymore. So he just puts them on from dusk till dawn.
None the wiser.
And none the wiser. Across 110th Street. He doesn't give a fuck.
Anything but her.
Anything but her. So, she says that he says that she likes to take out life insurance policies on people that she encounters, which is
pleasure to meet you. You're social.
Dude, there's in that Homicide David Simon book, there's a crazy story of this woman who took out all of these life insurance policies on everybody she knew. She had like fucking 9 husbands that she killed.
Oh my God.
She killed all these husbands. She killed nieces, nephews, and finally this one niece of hers, she tried to have her killed. She had an insurance policy on her, and she tried to have her killed like 5 times, and this girl was like a 20-year-old girl, 100 pounds, and she got shot in the head like 3 different times and kept surviving. surviving.
She's like a young Mr. Magoo.
She kept surviving. Eventually, the hitman, later on, after he turned himself in, or they caught him or whatever, the guy who was up for, that she was hiring to shoot, said he gave up and told her he wasn't going to try anymore because he said, this girl won't die. I can't do it. I've shot her 3 times in the head. She won't fucking die.
Are you sure it wasn't like a Weekend at Bernie's situation?
Dude, no shit. No, she was out there. And then finally they did this whole thing, and she had been doing this for years. They were fucking exhuming husbands and shit left and right. I mean, they had her for tons of murder charges. And she was like this real, like, southerny, churchy woman that would go into these big, it was fucking wild.
Big hats and shit.
Yeah, all that kind of shit. And she would like fake heart attacks, and she'd pull like a Fred Sanford when anybody would
accuse her or anything. Yeah,
she'd be like, I need my medication, and they'd be like, me look fine. Which, I mean, if she did need medication, that's terrible. But she didn't, and she killed like dozens of people. Not dozens, but a shitload.
I mean, it's illegal to just take out insurance policies on people.
I think they have to agree to it.
Do they?
Yeah, I can't just insure strangers. That's not how that works.
I feel like you could get rich pretty quick.
You'd be scratching your chin going, his lifestyle looks pretty risky.
During a pandemic, you could just search where all the hot spots are.
Yeah, I think
just go sign people up.
But what she does is forge their signatures on shit and, do all. So that's another level of fraud. So, he says that when he was in ECW, wrestling, when he was kind of at his most famous, she took out a policy on him as well, and he said that she almost went to jail because she forged his signature, and he turned her in for it. Got it. Because he was like, she ain't gonna kill me. Fuck that. Well, he was diving off a 3rd story. Like, you look at him and go, ooh, he could die any minute. Yeah. And so,
maybe that's why she did take it out. I didn't gotta kill that guy.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Oh, he's diving off the 3rd fucking balcony. I'm not even kidding. Onto concrete. He almost died several times wrestling. So, he said that when he was a kid, he was a skinny kid with big ears, and not really, all that athletic or tough as a little kid.
Samesies.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a little bit. So he said, quote, I learned how to fight. I would start shit for no reason. I'm not the type of person that can fight with you and stop. I'll stop when I see you not moving. When you land like you're dead, then I'll stop. I say that I'm not mean, but I am. I know I am.
Yeah, bro, that's murder.
That's New Jack. Oh, by the way, he has killed several people. Ruled justifiable, but has killed multiple people and attempted to murder others, and fully admits it. So he's not a nice guy, and not claiming to be a nice guy. That's the thing. He says all that, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm mean. I know I'm mean." Like, he doesn't care.
Holy shit.
He said his family moved to Atlanta when he was 15, and he played football there. He started playing some football, which I think was good for him, actually. He played at Thorell High School in football, and was pretty decent at it, actually, as we'll find out. But right before graduation, he got arrested. Is a problem here. He said he said it was only a matter of time. He was surprised it took that long, because he said him and his friends would just go rob people on the weekends.
Yeah.
For sport.
Yeah.
That was like, they would literally be like, what do you want to do? Well, I'll go rob people over there. All right.
Cool, man.
So, they said they would rob stores at gunpoint. That's just people, whoever they could find, just running around robbing. He said, quote, we just robbed the shit out of them. That's a quote. Yeah. That's not bad. He said he looked for family among friends and shit like that. He's got a brother in a mental institution. All his siblings are scattered. His mom is untrustworthy in his eyes. His dad's dead. So he's looking for something here. Now he speaks of his first armed robbery. Here, this is good. He said, well, let's just let him tell you all about it. He said he was at home. He said he was in the 10th grade. He said, I was at home, and I had been, like, watching movies. That's normal, 10th grade, watching movies. And I'm like, quote, I think I can do that, right? And my mom had a .22, right? A little revolver. So I knew where it was, right? And this store that I had been casing for a couple weeks, I'm like, I believe I can rob them.
I believe in me.
I believe I can do this. Yeah, I believe if I point a gun in that man's face, he'll give me money.
Right.
It's a... Okay.
Jiminy Cricket believes in me.
Yeah, I believe in cause and effect. 10th grade. And he saw it in the movie. He's like, I think I can do that. It's cause and effect. If I put the gun in his face,
that's Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I saw it happen in my head.
Yeah.
I saw the cartoon.
Yeah.
He had the wand and everything.
Yeah, it's a perfect
Cause
thing.
and effect.
Cause and effect. He said, quote, and when she would go to bed, because she never cared what time I came or went, and you know what I mean, so I would go out of the house at like 1 a.m. and ride down on my bike down to the store. I had like a 10-speed, so I would ride down there and just sit there and watch people come in and out. And I watch and I'd be like, I can do it. I know I can. So one night I decided to walk down there. Jesus Christ.
The little robber who could.
Well, he's going to do it. He's 15. You know what? But most 15-year-olds have no confidence in anything.
No, they
so yes, this is not a thing to be confident about, but I applaud him for having any confidence at 15, because
especially given the circumstance.
Yeah, a lot of 15-year-old boys are just, they're going to sit around with their squeaky voice and be they don't want to be seen or heard. This guy's like, I believe I can do it.
Rob the shit out of them.
I believe I can rob them. He says, quote, I'm a walk because I'm in need to get the hell out of there. And I had the little gun in my pocket, and I'm like, now I don't know when you go in. Do you say give it up or stick him up or let me have the money, or do I write him a note? So he hadn't thought about that far.
He got to the door and he's like, what am I going to do now?
I got a gun.
Yeah.
I know I want the money.
Right.
I know I should walk here instead of riding my bike, but how the fuck do I convey this?
Line!
This is a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
This is the most 15-year-old shit ever. But most 15-year-olds, they should be walking up to a girl and like wanting them to do something with them and being like, how do I ask her to hang out? They just be like, oh, you want to hang out? Or what are you doing on Saturday? Or, instead, this is his, how do I get the girl to go to the prom with me? I'm going to homecoming. Can I stick a 22 in your belly and ask for all the cash? Or
how do I touch her on top of her clothes at minimum? What words do I need for that?
Without having to dance too much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That was the worst.
The teenager, like, I don't want to dance, but I want to touch her. How do I do this? How do I make this work?
I don't want to show her that I can't do that.
Yeah.
Then she's going to imagine that I can't do more things.
Yeah, it's not, fuck that. So luckily we grew up in a time where you could be like, man, fuck dancing. And people would be like, oh, he's cool. That was cool. You know what I mean? In the 90s, you could just have a bad attitude about something and people would find that cool rather than, oh, it sucks. You won't do that. They'd be like, yeah, fuck dancing. Yeah, he's got it.
It's not that I'm tragically white.
No.
God, no.
No, I'm just...
It's because I don't want to sweat.
Because fuck that, you know what I mean?
I just watched these.
Yeah.
Got a fresh undershirt on.
Everybody's dancing.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Multiple layers.
Everybody's dancing, which means I can't be dancing. And be like everybody else. That's a good excuse to...
Wearing a T-shirt under a T-shirt.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that about?
Well, I always do that here, so I don't ruin T-shirts because it's 150 degrees
Right,
out.
but the T-shirt under the T-shirt was bigger than the T-shirt.
That was the look.
That was
I didn't
weird.
understand that.
Why
would you do that? Yeah,
And
I make sure that the outer shirt's bigger than the undershirt.
And the collar was always like a little more crew. You know what I mean? So it was like restrictive to the neck.
The neck, and then the other one wasn't.
And then the collar like went around that.
I don't understand.
What the fuck were we doing?
I didn't do that, so I don't know.
I did it all the time.
That wasn't my look.
And then 2 chains. 2 herringbones. They're the same lengths.
Yeah,
Why did I
not
do that?
herringbone. That's not good.
I did that.
Herringbone. Damn, Jimmy. You had to have links, son. What are you doing?
And then a fucking rope.
Nah.
Like a silver rope.
Yeah, you
with
were.
a cross on it?
You were.
Fuck off.
You were what we'd call a herb back then. If we saw you in New York dressed like that, we'd be like, hey, what the fuck is this guy doing?
The herringbone. What am I doing?
Hold on, come here, man. You need some help.
One shorter than the other so that you could tell
Well,
that there was
so
two.
it's layered, yeah. Maybe they think it's a real long one. You're just doubled up.
Wrapped it around my neck again.
Pow, pow. Double.
So it looked like it was the same fucking lengths.
That's really
like an asshole.
That's pretty asshole. It's not great. Okay.
Christ.
So Jack is trying to figure out how he can rob a store logistically. He's got all the things down, but really, how do I get him to give me the money? So he said, quote, I don't know what the fuck. Oh God, what do you, so I just went in there. This is his pausing and he's stammering. So I just went in there and was like, give me the money. And the lady looked at me, and I said, give me the money, lady. And he said he didn't have his face covered and he lived up the street. So that probably wasn't the smartest smartest thing in the world. And he'd been in that store before, so it was like, that's not smart. He says, quote, she handed me the money and looked at me like in disbelief because I had been in the store so many times.
Right.
Like, I know you. What are you doing? Jerome?
Right.
What? You know,
Why?
I'm going to tell your mom about this. Right. He says, and it was like, and when they went, I came out of the store running with the money in my hand and my gun in the other hand. And I'm running down the street, and I don't know if I was dropping money or not, but I was hauling ass. I cut down through the woods and popped up down at the house, and I went in the house, and then I went upstairs and went in my room and locked the door. And I was sitting there counting money, and I was like, oh shit, that was easy. I was like, oh God, I didn't just do that. And then I started laughing, and I was like, I'm going to do it again.
Oh my God.
He's like, that was a good decision.
Oh my God.
No, he's like, was this okay? Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is enough.
This is what I need. Yep. He said, so then I started doing it. Yeah, almost every week. I was so dumb. I never thought about, I was robbing places where I lived, right around the corner, He's just, whatever's easiest, most convenient, just go rob it quick.
He's not even caught?
No.
There's no jail time.
Somehow
for
he
this.
doesn't get out of that. Well, he ends up with some other shit here. His mother moved to New York for work when he was in high school. Mm-hmm. So in the 11th grade, from then on, he lives alone.
In North Carolina.
In Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
So he's down in Atlanta here from, 11th grade on, 16, 17 years old.
By himself.
By himself as, his mom moved away.
Wow.
Now, he was asked in this interview, now this isn't us saying this, but this is what he's saying, and it's kind of hilarious coming from him. They asked him were you into gang activity and stuff, or were you just running around? And he said, I wasn't in no fucking gang. He called gangs, quote, gay. I mean, this is what he said.
Yeah.
Oh God. This is what he says. Like I said, this isn't us. This is New Jack. And he also said this 15 years ago. So whatever. He says, quote, a gang is gay. That's like gay. I need help. That's gay. Honest to God, they are. I don't know what that gay about that. Honest to God, they are. If you're willing to fucking contend with a cock one-on-one on your own, there's nothing fucking weak about that. I feel like you're a strong man, in my opinion. He said, honest to God, they are. You got to have 50 people to help you fight one person, and you all dress alike? That's queer, you know what I mean?
Is that because I thought the definition of gay was like
you're sexually attracted to men?
Yeah, enjoying it.
Yeah, no. Apparently, it's when you gather 50 straight men together dressed alike, where they all have to fight one person. Apparently, that's the definition of gay. I guess I don't know. I was wrong all these years, and society I think has been off.
Did gangbang come from?
That's what it was. It was a bunch of gay guys.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was 50 guys, 50 bloods
dressed
gangbanging a crip.
No, they're gangbanging each other, I think, for the fun of it. That's what it's not even just one.
They didn't all take turns raping that man?
No, it was not really. The gang wasn't meant for violence at first. The gang was meant to be like a fuck crew first. You know what I mean? Like just a crew that was down for fucking.
Big orgy of bread.
And then they were like, while we're here, we should probably sell drugs too, because we're here anyway. I feel like that's how gangs got started. Hey, when you take your dick out of Bob, will you sell this 8-ball up the street? And it was like, cool. And then I'll get a cut and you get a cut. And that's how gangs started.
Gun? Because I didn't think you were going to let me do this willingly.
Oh, Jesus. So,
I thought I was going to force myself on you.
Yeah.
Turns out I don't need it. So let's go rob a store.
You all got to dress alike. That's queer. Know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Okay. Not really. Then he says, quote, and he's talking about his manager is Eric Sims. This guy who books a bunch of wrestling kind of aftermarket guys, guys, wrestlers who aren't wrestling anymore. He books them for conventions and signings and all this stuff. And he says, quote, if Eric came here dressed like me, I'd have to go change clothes. You know what I mean? So he's not even he's so pissed off and untrusting of everybody that he won't even join a gang. Yeah. Because he's like, nah, fuck that shit. I've got to be on my own. And it's weird. He's very angry.
That's how dangerous he is that he's so much of a man. He calls what we feared when we were children gay.
Yeah. I don't.
Right to their face.
And then redefines gay completely. So Yeah, that's what
amazing.
I'm saying. He's a nut.
Yeah.
So, not shockingly here, toward the end of high school, right after high school, I believe, or like the last semester of high school, he is arrested for armed robbery and assault, aggravated assault as well.
Oh,
so, not terrific. No. He's given a 1-year prison sentence out of this.
That's steep.
So, that's a big deal for him. He goes to prison, but he says, quote, by 6 months in, I got another 2 years.
Oh, God.
That's because he got in a lot of fights. He likes to fight. I mean, he's just a guy who, if he hears something across the street that might be intended for him, he's not a guy who can be like, who cares? He'll go, what the fuck did you say? And go back across the street.
No.
He's just that kind of guy. He's not taking shit from anybody. He says that he got in fights every day. He was just angry to be in there. And also being young, he had to prove himself. Yeah. And then he's so fucking angry anyway. So he's like, cool, I'll fucking fight anybody I can.
And he's that guy that's the person that said it is not the instigator, because he comes back, and you can't, no matter what that person says, I didn't say that. You're still going to fight right now.
That's the thing. I mean? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Stop. No, he's looking for someone to fight.
Right. You're not diffusing that situation.
And you just gave him what he wanted, and he's like, cool, awesome. Right. It's on now.
You're either threatening me or you're backing down. Either way, I'm punching you.
That's the and in prison, it wasn't even about having beef with anybody. Right. He says, quote, we'd be in line getting counted, and I'd just run up and knock somebody's ass out. So, I mean, he's just looking to start trouble. He doesn't give a fuck. A counselor finally told him that if he behaved for 3 months, that this counselor could get him placed in a halfway house. They could work on his behalf with the parole and all that sort of thing.
90 days.
So he does it. And he said, I actually said, all right. He said that this woman had been nice to him, and she trusted him, or he trusted her a little bit. And she said, give me 90 days of good behavior and I'll get you the fuck out of here. And he said, all right. And he did it. And this is what ends up happening. So he ends up moving back to Atlanta and enrolling in college, actually, after this. Yeah, because he's still got football, that he's pretty good at football.
Sure.
He gets out of prison when he's 21. So he ends up doing, 2 years and change at a young age. And he says that's when he started drinking. He had never drank really before that. He wasn't a drinker. And then when he gets out, he's like, there's one missing piece to this cocktail. Just one missing ingredient, and that is being fueled by alcohol, I feel like. I need to lose my inhibitions, obviously.
Completely
this dude,
out of control.
I mean, this guy's obviously just a little too... He's inhibited. That's all it is. He's a stiff guy. Yeah. He's like a guy in a romantic comedy who... He's like an accountant, and he meets this wild, crazy broad who takes him around on the beaches and drinking and fucking on, in public and shit. That's what's going on here.
White wine, so I'm going to try it.
So that's where he did. He starts drinking there. He goes to Clark College, which is now Clark Atlanta University. They've changed since then. He was a defensive back on the football team there. Okay. So it's, trying. Former teammate of his, who is actually a guy named Lieutenant Mike Wilson, who runs the Atlanta Police Department's fugitive squad. He said, he was on the team with him. Yeah. He says about Jack, quote, he was a heck of a football player. So it's got a witness saying he was a good football player. New Jack says, quote, I'd hit you so hard that if you got up, it made me cry. So, he was angry. He was mad. He hit you so hard. God damn it. He's up.
And he cried.
Yeah. So he decides that he wants to try to play professional football. Yeah. And this is where he goes. He ends up trying out for the Atlanta Falcons, and he hurts his ankle during a tryout for the Falcons and kind of ruins that chance. So he says, quote, after that didn't go through, I was just like, fuck it. I became a bounty hunter. Yep, that's the next step, right? In this progression. That's normal.
That's a different trajectory.
Everything he fucking says is like, 1, 2, 3, 18, right? And you're like, what? Where's 4?
Did they say what position he tried out for?
Fucking 4. He's defensive back. He's always like a safety.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, he's like a safety.
A murderer.
Strong. Yeah, because he's a hitter. He wants to hit.
For hire back there.
He's coming at you trying to take out receivers, catching balls over the middle and shit. He's a nut.
He wants to explode Jerry Rice's heart.
That's his goal, his ultimate goal. Or back in that day, I guess maybe Andre Rison on the Falcons in practice.
Yeah.
Probably. So, but he said he became a bounty hunter. Actually, this is the 80s. This is before that, but a bounty hunter is what he wants to do, which is interesting. He says that his first time out, bounty hunting, he said he just tackled the guy. He found the guy on the sidewalk and just ran up and tackled his ass, football style.
That worked.
Well, he said, quote, he thought he was being robbed. He said, come on, man, just take my money. I said, I ain't trying to rob you, motherfucker. You want it. Which is worse than being robbed, I think. I ain't trying to rob you, motherfucker. You wanted. Yeah. I'm taking you in.
Yeah. You got a bounty. That's way better.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's worth more than you got in your pocket.
Exactly. So this is all through his bounty hunting days. He's got some problems here. He claims, and we don't know because it's a hard thing to prove based on the way they file it. He claims that he had 4 justifiable homicides throughout this period.
While being a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he claimed he killed 4 people, all ruled justifiable in the cause of his duty of being a bounty hunter. 4.
That's more than dogs got.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
One of which I heard him describe in an interview where he basically said he was in his trunk, fucking with something, getting a vest off, some shit equipment for doing something, and some dude came up and tried to rob his ass while he had his trunk open, and the guy didn't know that he had like 5 guns laid out in his fucking trunk because he was putting his equipment away, and Jack said he just came up and fucking blasted his ass a whole bunch of times, and that was deemed self-defense because he was in the middle of being robbed. The other guy had a gun.
Right.
So that was fine. He said the other 3 were in the course of his bounty hunting duties.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, he's willing to, and he was like, I didn't give a fuck about that guy. Fuck that guy. Come on. No one's robbing my ass. So I was like, well, I guess not. Shit.
He was born in the wrong time.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been
a great cowboy.
Amazing. Either that.
Would have been a great cowboy.
Or fuck dog. I want to watch this one.
Yeah.
I'd much rather accidentally watch a robbery that this guy murders him on live TV.
Yeah, no shit. No shit, man.
Or 3 other people.
This is fucking crazy. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Come up and try to jack him.
Yeah.
Buck.
Right.
What the fuck? What? Maybe that's why Dog didn't have a gun.
Yeah. So he carried mace and a taser?
Yeah.
Because he'd kill somebody.
So while he's bounty hunting, though, he's not really supposed to have a gun because he's a convicted felon. But he's got one anyway.
Oh, my God.
So he does get arrested in January 2nd of 86. He's arrested for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That's not wonderful there. So he claims that. He also got an aggravated assault, 2 counts of that, felonious aggravated assault, which is in 1989. This is over the course in a bounty hunting situation as well. So he gets a bunch of charges and murders and God knows what else.
I'd like to see how he got away with that. Somebody that shouldn't have a gun. How did you get to murder people with guns?
He did it.
Yeah.
From what he said, I don't know.
It happened.
After this, he's got a knife a lot of the times, as we'll talk about.
Maybe he stabbed him.
Even in wrestling. So while this is all going on, bounty hunting's it's hard for him to do it because he's a convicted felon and he's got, the gun and all that shit. I don't know if he's losing his license or what, but he said a friend of his who was trying to break into the wrestling business had talked New Jack into training with him. He's like, come train with me. If, nothing else, you get into shape and, be in good shape and shit like that. But by the time he started training, New Jack was already in his late 20s. This is not normal for wrestlers. The only time that usually happens is if they were like football players, like NFL, or like a Goldberg.
They've been in shape.
A Goldberg, a Steve McMichael.
The Rock.
The Rock. The Rock came after college, but I mean, some of the guys like NFL guys who, played for years and then were too injured to play in the NFL, blew out your knee, but you can still wrestle, but you can't play defensive tackle anymore. You don't have the same drive to go through a guard.
Right.
But you can, this guy can pretend you body slammed him. That's fine.
Choreographed bounce off a rope.
Yeah, and you can still, you're huge and impressive looking and strong. You could do all the moves and athletic too. I mean, NFL players are generally athletic, even the big ones compared to normal people. So he says, though, he was making a living bounty hunting at that time. And he says that he still bounty hunted on the side even after he was wrestling for a few years. So yeah, he would do that shit when he wasn't wrestling. So, he says about his justifiable homicides, quote, 4 justifiable homicides. I wasn't proud of it, but it happened. It was either me or them. Yeah. So that's what he said in Beyond the Mat, that documentary from the late 90s there. He does say that, that the violence wasn't everything. He says the bounty hunting was, quote, it was time consuming. I was on the phone doing my leg work. I worked on my own. I had my own schedule. So yeah, it's a lot of phone calls and paperwork and like kind of PI work there. And then when you finally find someone, apparently you justifiably murder them.
Homicide them.
Apparently. So he says he was never a wrestling fan before at all. Didn't grow up liking it, watching it, didn't give a fuck about wrestling, never did.
Okay.
Doesn't care. See, there's a few different types of people that get into wrestling, first of all, especially like then. And this is the type that doesn't exist anymore in the business. Back in the day, it used to be, like I said, a football player blew out his knee. Now he's going to wrestle, or he wasn't good enough to play in the NFL, but he's a great specimen, like The Rock.
Sure.
The Rock wasn't going to be an NFL player, but he's a fucking great wrestler.
Yeah.
So,
Those
guys like...
are amazing.
Yeah, well, he had implants put in too.
Stop it.
The Rock has pec implants.
Get out of my life.
The Rock was embarrassed of his, what he called bitch tits. I've heard him say that back in the day. And
that's awesome.
That's a thing. And so he got pec implants. Yeah. That's why they're so impressive. Most
why
of those.
Aren't they? How do they do it? Is it like silicone or is
guys get calf implants?
Really?
Yeah, these guys are vain, man.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very vain.
His chest is
and
fake.
their bodies their whole life. So you have to, look at The Rock when he first broke in, and then look at him in like 99, and he's got a different chest completely.
Wild.
And it's not a
bitch tits.
Arms look the same, everything else looks the same. Just pecs popping, so different.
Those matter tremendously.
Yeah, it makes you look thick and barrel chested and shit, and gives you depth.
Tremendously.
So you have those guys, the football players. Then you have the guys who are loved wrestling their whole life, always want to be a wrestler, very into wrestling, liked wrestling, like every aspect of it, just wrestling people. So they'll get into it. Then you have your like amateur wrestler, like your Kurt Angle, which this is kind of a rare one, which we'll do. Kurt Angle's our next wrestling episode, by the way. That's a crazy ass story.
Yeah.
So you have that kind of guy who was like an amateur wrestler who was he was an Olympic gold medalist, who then kind of got talked into coming into the business because there's the word wrestling is in both of those things. Those guys are tough because they have to completely retrain their brain. Their whole thing is to grab you and fucking twist you and pull you and all that, and it's completely different.
There's no ropes in that.
There's no ropes. Plus you're trying to work against the other person, and with this you're trying to work with them, so it's just a complete opposite mindset.
Yeah, there's no showmanship in that either.
No, there isn't. It's boring as fuck if you watch Olympic wrestling on purpose. So there's that kind of guy, and then you'd have kind of like the fringe society guy, and that's what New Jack is, and that's what a lot of guys used to be back then. They were literally fringe society guys. They were like, if it wasn't the carnival, if it wasn't bounty hunting, they'd be like driving some truck across a fucking ice in Alaska. So they're just weirdos that there's really no other place for them in the world. And we get that in comedy a lot too.
Course.
You get that in comedy, and the ones that don't work out in that are fucking fucked, because if you can't make it in that weird world, like if you don't have the talent, you'd have these weird kind of fringe weirdos like I'm talking about, of that there's no other place, like in comedy, there's no other place for them. And if they fail here, where do they go?
Oh boy.
And like Buck Zumhoff was like that. Remember, he was like driving a truck, doing a weird, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. We've had a bunch of guys like that. Or they're like generational guys. Their dad was a wrestler, because that's what you see a lot too, is family in the business. It's like the mafia like that.
The fringe ones create the best story for like
they do.
The just outlandish crap behavior.
But a lot of times, like the hereditary ones are the craziest stories, because the wrestling families fall fucked up. The Von Erichs and all these people. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Their families are a goddamn disaster.
It's bread
coming up in the wrestling business. So there's a lot of death and all that sort of shit involved. So you have those guys who The Rock, his whole goddamn family's in the business. From his grandfather, cousins, everybody's in wrestling.
Is that why wrestling episodes are so much more fun? Just because to today,
they're not normal people,
right?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
They're not your normal person. This is not a normal activity to do.
No,
so it's if you do this, you're probably a bit of a colorful character. And that's why they're always nuts. And that's why comics are the same way. It's not a normal thing to do. It's that sort of deal. So he says, though, he never was a wrestling fan, and he said that that's what he says later. But then other people say he was a wrestling fan, because we talked about that shit. He tried to play it off like he's cool. Tommy Dreamer, who was from ECW, and Christ, I think he's still around. Fucking somewhere.
From the 80s to today?
From the 90s.
Okay.
He started in the 90s. He was in WWE and TNA and all over the goddamn place. But he said, quote, "We had discussed New Jack watching Dusty Rhodes when he was in Georgia, and we had talked about wrestling. It may not have been his love or his passion, but he was obviously a fan. I know he said that it was either wrestling or jail at times, but I do know he watched it because he's told me about it. And we were both pretty much marking out when we met Dusty." So he said he was a big Dusty Rhodes fan. And so he's thinking about wrestling. What should he do? How should he approach this? Because you have to have a character, and You have to present yourself. Sure. So he says, quote, this is New Jack, quote, I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking about wrestling and I'm thinking about creating a character and I hear the name New Jack and it just stayed in my head. New Jack, talking about New Jack City.
Right.
The Wesley Snipes movie from, I think, 91 or so. 92, 91, somewhere around that.
Maybe even 93.
I don't know if it was that late. Maybe. Shit. I mean, that was a big fucking movie though at the time. I remember that was.
Yeah, it was in almost every hip hop song. There was something
everybody rented it like 12 times. Yeah. I think I probably rented it a shitload when I was a kid. It was just.
It's not that great of a movie.
Not that great of a movie, but Chris Rock was it was like his kind of a break. It was his biggest role. Yeah. Before that, he was just in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Was he in that one?
Yeah.
In the second one?
I get $10 for cars,
You're right.
$20 for trucks. What the hell is that?
That's right. He was the valet. Oh, my God.
Absolutely. I used to crack it up at that guy when I was a kid.
Holy
and then later
shit.
on, I'm like, that was fucking Chris Rock.
Was CB4 after that?
I think CB4. Yeah, CB4 I think was after that.
Was that 94?
I don't remember. Around that time. Probably went around when he was on SNL.
Another bad movie.
We'll have to think of something. So he said that he started to kind of get a vision of what his character would be in the ring. He wanted to be like a kind of a street-wise kind of a dude, like a New Jack City movie character, basically, what he was going for. He's trained by a guy named Ray Candy, who was kind of a mediocre talent kind of a guy. He, he did things, but he was never like a, world-renowned champion or anything like that. So he ends up starting out in USWA, which is Memphis, Tennessee wrestling, which is Jerry Lawler is the owner down there. We've talked plenty about Jerry Lawler.
What a man.
He'll have his own episode, too. Don't worry.
We didn't do him yet?
No, we did his son.
Oh,
we did his son.
Right.
And we heard vaguely about how terrible of a guy Jerry is. And
boy.
We'll do that there. And Jerry's one of those guys that's very few guys are around the business that long and that universally disliked by everyone that worked with them.
Right.
Like anybody who's like management, all those people like him, but all the other wrestlers were like, man, fuck that guy. Like, no, they say he was a great wrestler and he could get the crowd going and that's great, but as a person, they're like, you don't want to hang out with fucking Jerry Lawler.
I mean, it's pretty obvious even in those skits with sketches, whatever, from the late night show with
Andy Kaufman. Yeah.
Even from those, it's pretty obvious he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he is.
And
he's a dick.
I mean, he was meant to do that.
He's a dick,
but he fucking meant it. I think.
Yeah, he doesn't drink or curse. I don't think he liked him.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right away, you know my stance on that.
Yeah.
If you never curse, you're probably a pedophile. That's it. That's just my stance. I'm sorry. It's true. Yeah. Unless you're like an old lady. Yeah. But if you have a penis and you never curse, my kids are not coming anywhere fucking near you. I'll tell you that right now. So he does that.
And the never drinking ever thing is weird, too.
It's creepy. As a rule, like it seems like, I don't drink that much. But like if you're celebrating with a bunch of your friends, let's all have a drink.
Nobody has
never. Always
ever?
Just a Coke.
Yeah.
He said he's never had a drop of alcohol.
That's awful.
So, yeah, that's creepy as far as I'm concerned. So, 1994, 93-ish, 94, he ends up leaving Memphis and going to Atlanta, back kind of where he grew up here, and wrestling for the North Georgia Wrestling Alliance, which was like an indie promotion at the time. He wins their heavyweight championship. Oh. Holy shit, which I'm sure was like made of like a wrapper that goes around a Snapple bottle, and they put like a bottle cap on it, and they're like, here's the belt. There you go.
Be careful, it breaks easy.
It's just very...
Don't flex your abs.
It's really fragile, so trust me, you want to be careful with that. But it's prestigious still, nonetheless. So in early 94, he finds a tag team partner who is the wrestler known as Mustafa Syed, and they form the Gangstas, as a tag team.
Wait a minute.
That's their tag team, the Gangstas.
That's gay.
New Jack and Mustafa. They dropped that, but it was the gay Gangstas at first, and they said that's not tough.
We can't do that.
That doesn't sound tough. Right. We can't. So, he ends up teaming up with him, forming the Gangstas. Now, New Jack, we could show you all of this if the live show. New Jack at this point is adopted. He wears like Tupac t-shirts that are like, with the sleeves cut off and kind of ripped up, and like baggy black pants and like boots, not like wrestling boots though. He's wearing like fucking
combat boots.
Yeah, like fucking SWAT team kind of boots, sort of a deal sometimes, or sometimes wrestling boots, but he wears them different, like they're looser, and he's like
some lugs and Timberlands.
Yeah, seriously, wears that sometimes. Like he's trying to look like he's just like very street. It's not a wrestling outfit. There's no spandex involved in this outfit.
I'm here to kill people legally.
Yeah, and a fucking do-rag on, and looking these fucking gloves. And once he gets an ECW, he comes in with fucking a garbage cans full of weapons. He's insane. And his partner Mustafa is a taller guy. He's physically he looks more impressive, but he has very little charisma, and he wrestles all weird and slow. Jack is the star of the team by far. It's one of those it's not even a Michaels and Jannetty situation. It's Michaels and who is that other guy? Mustafa's not very good. So they win the NGWA tag team titles in July 1994, but then they drop them and take the fuck off. And they leave. He says, quote, "I came up with the black army fatigues and black boots. OJ had just killed everybody in California." So he's like, this was my look.
For time reference.
This was 94. Right. So this was the OJ murder, and this was basically, there was a lot of...
He's not even giving credence to the not guilty.
Nope, doesn't give a fuck. Oh, this is, yeah.
Close.
No, well, in 94.
OJ just killed everybody.
Yeah, he's not saying shit about any fucking court case. That's not his concern. He knows what happened. He's New Jack. He says, quote, "There was rioting, and I said, I'll be from South Central L.A. My name will be New Jack. My style will be real slow and aggressive, and we don't rap and sing and tap dance mammy." Jesus. We don't do none of that shit. That's when I came up with my character, and I presented it to the people, and they were like, yeah, and I ran with it. So that was what the fuck he's doing.
I'm into it.
Yeah, right? Why not? So he then goes to Smoky Mountain Wrestling in Tennessee, which is, I think this is where there's conflicting of where he teamed up with Mustafa. But here is where they become kind of more known. Smoky Mountain Wrestling is run and owned by Jim Cornette, who we've talked about a lot. And this was like his wrestling promotion for a few years that he had in the mid-90s there. Now, he says that... basically, part of their act here was to taunt white people, which was most of the crowd, because most of the crowd were hillbillies. Because this is Smoky Mountain. This is they're not doing big city shows. These are small towns, hillbillies, and Jim Cornette, who's from Louisville and kind of hates hillbillies also, and likes to make the dumb ones and racists and shit like that. If you listen to his podcast, half his podcast is politics and how much he fucking hates rednecks and all this type of shit. So, but in a southern accent, it's hilarious. So Jim Cornette's whole thing is, you go out there and piss off these fucking shit-kicking hillbilly rednecks by acting as fucking, just as street as you can fucking act. Taunt the white people. This is great. Piss them off. You know what I mean? So, in which Jack was like, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. You know what I mean?
Anything Tupac does, do that.
Yeah. He was like, just piss them the fuck off. They'll want to kill you, So, and they did. And they went through this whole thing. Basically, one of this wrestling writer, he says, quote, "People didn't want them beaten. They wanted them dead." So, people hated them in this area.
Wow.
Yeah, because not only are they like outsiders from somewhere else, but then they're like this is my mom, god damn it.
Right.
They're pissed off about everything. So, Smoky Mountain Wrestling here was very kind of rednecky, we'll put it. Like I said, so let's let Jim Cornette, he says, quote, "We got Knoxville straight off the bat on the Fox station. We also got WCYB, which was the NBC affiliate in the Tri-Cities. Tri-Cities, by the way, is Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City." It's
not New York City.
No, this is not not New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. This is Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City. I assume Tennessee.
Tri-Cities.
Tri-Cities.
They're trying to be cities.
That's what I mean.
They're trying so hard.
Technically, the signal up in those mountains went 100 miles in almost every direction. Cable was not that widespread, and a lot of people used antennas in the hills. So we also got WYMT in Hazard, Kentucky, where the Duke boys are running from fucking Cooter and Cletus. Right. Just Cletus. Cooter was the mechanic, but yeah. So
where there's a car with a rebel flag on it.
Oh.
And we've got these guys.
And plays Dixie as it flies through the air.
We got these guys being as hood as possible.
That's the thing. He said, so we had Eastern Kentucky covered too. And that ended up as our territory. Mm-hmm. Now, Road Dogg, Jesse James, who's one of the Armstrong family here. You might remember him from the late 90s. He was a D-Generation X. He was one of those guys. White guy with braids.
No.
And,
Little guy.
Kind of a littler guy, yeah. He says, quote, we worked high school gyms in small towns, but they were always packed and they were always the best fans. To some of them, it wasn't just entertainment. They take their wrestling very seriously. They're very vocal about who they like and dislike. There was a lot of sliced tires and keyed cars. These fans were like...
That's fucked up.
They still thought it was like 15 years ago where the villains had to sneak out in fucking car trunks and shit to not get killed. So Jim Cornette had to fight his way out of more than one of those shows. Yeah, he used to load up his tennis racket and just fucking swing it as he went through the crowd.
You know, not to poo-poo this behavior, this would happen today if Belichick had to walk out of Miami Dolphins Stadium.
Oh,
you know
what I mean?
Yeah. If they didn't have a locked up area,
yeah, definitely,
their bus would be flat too.
But the thing is, Belichick really beat the Dolphins. That's the difference.
That's a good point.
Belichick isn't hired just to be a foil for the Dolphins fans who then the Dolphins eventually beat them. That's not how this works. That's how wrestling works. So they lost real money betting on the fucking Dolphins. No one lost anything here.
But you know that we know of at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. So one of the Armstrong boys here, he said, quote, one time my son Scott and I were trying to find a building. We passed this guy who had killed a deer. The deer was strapped up and he was cutting it open at the gut. We got lost in the mountains and came back and he was giving the meat to kids. And I don't know where the kids came from. There were no houses. Those Appalachian people are a little bit different than everyone else. Trying to give you the idea of the area here.
Sectioning a fucking elk
and
on his
handing
trunk.
it out to children who are going to who knows where into the hollers to
with
fucking
bare hands out.
A handful of meat to take. Here you go, mama. Plunk it on the table.
Man, I call dibs on the loin.
The man by the road gave it to me.
Mama, I got an elk shoulder.
So strange. Tracy Smothers, he says, he's a little more to the point. He says, quote, they were hillbillies. It's as simple as that. Yeah. There's a difference between country people and hillbillies, and they were bona fide hillbillies. They could get pretty rowdy. So, yeah. Oh, my God. This is so fucking great. I could listen to comments about this all night. Dutch Mantel says, quote, up there in eastern Kentucky and northern Virginia, you're back in the hills, buddy. You're in those Appalachian mountains. I used to say on commentary, a lot of these people have never left this town. And Bob Caudle would say, what do you mean? I'd say because they don't have a Rand McNally road map to know how to get the hell out of this place. They want to leave, maybe. So Jerry Lawler said there were some backwoods fans, rednecks, and coal miners that would come over from Virginia. These were people that would get involved. It would get scary. Jesus Christ. Here's one for about Tammy Sitch, the Sonny, as we know all about.
She's got problems.
Jim Cornette says, this woman in Barbersville, Kentucky, grabbed Tammy and dragged her on the gym floor by her hair and wrists, determined to drag her out of the back of the building. She was a huge corn-fed farm woman, and Brian Lee was trying to save Tammy without hurting her. So these are scary people.
That's kind of hot.
That's fucking awesome. And here's one more here. Armstrong again. One time we were out back and we saw over the hill came an old mule. 2 kids were on the mule. They rode up, got off, slapped the mule on the ass, and it went back over the hill, and the kids came into the wrestling match.
What?
I don't know how they got home. They rode their mule to the wrestling matches. That's how they got there in Smoky Mountain.
And then walked home?
And they apparently walked home or found another mule. But this is the place that you're going to drop New Jack, who we've just discussed, into. So, you know what I'm saying?
This is awesome.
Things are going to go awesome.
Yeah.
So, the gangsters are good heels, and Cornette tells them to pretty much fucking black it up, basically. Hey, really piss off the rednecks is how he put it. He's got an anti-redneck thing like me with hardcore Guidos.
Yeah.
It's just like the same thing where I'm like, you embarrassing motherfucker, right. I swear to God, you fuck. Do you know, for every one of you, right. 10 of us get fucking put in a stupid box, you son of a bitch. So I think it's the same thing.
All because of this accent.
That's it.
It's the same thing.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So Jack said about the whole thing, quote, I think just us being black and beating up some white boys in Tennessee will work. Putting racism in it might be a bit much, is what he said.
Yeah. We don't have to do
He
this.
said, I don't really have to. I could just win a match against a white guy and they'll be mad at me. Like, I don't have to, like, really piss them off. Right. But the first promo in Smoky Mountain, Cornette before the camera roll said, quote, say something to make white people mad. Say something about OJ. That was his direction. So Jack's response in the beginning of the interview was, quote, I want to give a special shout out to my man O.J. Simpson. Keep up the good work. That's too less to worry about.
That's going hard.
That is as hard as you could go. That's literally as hard as never mind in wrestling.
Calm down, Ari Shaffir.
As a person, that's as hard as you could go.
What are you doing? That's not the words you needed to do.
He said that, and Cornette was like, oh, fuck yeah. Perfect. They're going to want to kill you people over this shit. Not you people, but you two people. They want to kill you people anyway, but you two specifically is what they're really going to want.
I didn't even expect you to go that far. That was great.
I don't think that's too less to worry about. That's aggressive. So Jack decided
it couldn't have been worse if he said you should have raped him first or something horrible.
He decided he hadn't gone far enough.
No.
He said that he also wanted to piss the black people off too. He didn't want just to be black people rooting for him and white people rooting against him. So he said, I need to piss them off too. What can I do? I'll make fun of Martin Luther King. So he did. He made fun of Martin Luther King.
Wow.
So then the NAACP would picket the matches, but not for anything else, but they would picket New Jack. They were there to picket one black guy.
That's awesome.
Because he's making fun of Martin Luther King.
You're ruining our cause, you dick.
He cut a promo about Medgar Evers, Jimmy.
What?
He was talking shit about Medgar Evers.
Unbelievable.
And then he would say that he liked Medgar Evers, obviously,
How do you hate him?
Well, piss the black people off, he would say that, and then he'd be like, well, on the other hand, though, he was good, and I wish he would have done whatever the fuck, and then he'd talk about OJ more, and so he would just be like, I'll piss everybody off with the same thing. He's out of his fucking mind.
God damn it.
He would also it was wild. He would do, he also said that he wanted to petition the board of wrestling, whatever the fuck it was, the championship committee, to make it so his matches the gangsta matches, they should be able to win with a 2 count instead of a 3 count because of affirmative action.
Right.
So just to try to piss, so it's fucking hilarious. And, he's just pushing buttons. So
that's pretty good, though.
It's funny.
I like it.
So they would run a disclaimer over the gangster interviews. This is not the opinion of the. He does not share the views of the station or the promotion or blah 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 blah.
Jim Cornette does not co-sign on this,
or the station,
surely
he's the
does.
one going, say more. Tell him Nicole Brown was a bitch. Say she was a bitch and deserved it. That's what I want. So yeah.
That's what she gets for wanting ice cream.
It's fucking crazy. So, the gangsters ended up, they were feuding. Well, there's not a lot of time to talk about wrestling here. It's mainly craziness.
Wow.
They were feuding with the Rock and Roll Express, who, Jesus Christ, Rock and Roll Express, in our live show, I had these two before and after. I had 85 Rock and Roll Express and then 95 Rock and Roll Express. And you're like, oh, God.
Were they different?
Their hair is exactly the same and they're wearing the same outfits, but they have shriveled and aged horribly in this 10 years, but they're still have the same haircut and clothes on. You're just like, oh, that's just so sad.
A couple of mayonnaise sandwiches in the sun.
Oh, exactly. We're talking mullets with and in 94, it really wasn't.
Hung on to it.
It was bad. Yeah. So the gangsters also, they'd feud with the Heavenly Bodies, who was Bruce Pritchard's brother, as a matter of fact, and Tony Anthony and Tracy Smothers, another one there, the dirty white boy Tony Anthony and Tracy Smothers had a tag team. They were feuding with them. Now, what ended up happening here is he ends up leaving the promotion here in a minute, and there's a big controversy of how that happened. But before that happens, don't worry. On January 27th, 1996, in Morristown, Tennessee, he gets into a confrontation with a 14-year-old boy at the Smoky Mountain Wrestling show, who then the police intervened, so he got into an altercation with them and was arrested for that.
That wasn't part of the show.
Yeah, not good here. He also, around this time, is arrested in Kentucky he said that... Jesus Christ, this is wild. He said he got arrested in Kentucky. It was a dry county, and he had an unopened St. Ides. And he said, it's fucking not open. I'm allowed to drive through with it. I'm not allowed to drink it. And the cop said that he was arresting him. This is fucked up if this is true. He said that the cop told him that malt liquor makes black people violent.
Oh, boy.
So I'm taking it from you.
Oh.
Like, pardon? Pardon? What year is this, motherfucker? Like, whoa.
I'm violent without it.
Yeah, that could only calm him, if I'm being honest here. You probably want New Jack to have all the St. Ides in him he wants.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
It's a terrible thing to say out loud,
It's fucking horrible. Yeah. So anyway, he goes to ECW, we've talked about it. It's the Crazy Wrestling Federation, and they did they're Extreme Championship Wrestling. I mean, they started out as a very small, tiny, doing 100-person shows in bars. Mm-hmm. That's how they started out, and they progressed a little from there. And then Paul Heyman comes in, and Paul Heyman really helps kind of boost the whole identity of the place. And instead they were Eastern Championship Wrestling, and then they changed to Extreme Championship Wrestling because it's 1995 and everything's extreme. It's fucking extreme. But they do have pretty crazy matches. Yeah. They have barbed wire baseball bat matches.
That's extreme.
Oh, yeah. Axel and Ian Rotten, they had these matches where they would hit each other hard with barbed wire baseball bats. And then when they go to take them out, the barbed wire is stuck. So you see it all. Their flesh tearing and shit coming out. The one guy still had scars on his arm 15 years later. His whole arm was mangled from this shit. They would do barbed wire matches. Sabu and Terry Funk had the craziest fucking barbed wire match I've ever seen.
The
ropes are barbed wire.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's fucking... And there's also barbed wire just in the ring, like bales of it. So at one point, Sabu got his fucking arm sliced to the bone in his bicep, and he just had the guy go get some tape. And he taped it up, and he's like, I'll deal with that later. Finished the fucking match.
It doesn't stick well on blood.
He did it, and he just wrapped it the fuck up and did it, and was like, there you go, good enough.
Jesus,
keep the blood in.
Juggalo concert.
These guys were nuts, man. They're fucking crazy, and the fans were kind of just as crazy as you could take an ECW, look at the ECW show from back then, do a freeze frame of the crowd, and they show the fucking hard camera from that one side, and look at it, you will find maybe 2 women in the entire place.
It's all just lunatic,
it's all lunatic, young, crazy, and it's in South Philly is their ECW arena. It's fucking insane.
A couple of women who are crazier than those men.
They're the ones to be afraid of. They're the they'll stab you in a heartbeat, those broads. So this is
some things.
They are South Philly fucking tough chicks. So they're nuts, and the matches are weapons. There's really no rules kind of a thing. There's quote rules if it's convenient to the match, but I mean, if someone comes in and hits you with a frying pan, that's a legal move. If the crowd started bringing shit,
what?
They'd just hand people, the crowd would hand someone a frying pan, they'd take it and whack the guy in the fucking head with it. I remember New Jack beating Sandman over the head with a Nintendo until it broke into many pieces.
Somebody brought that.
A fucking full NES. Just bashed him on the head till it exploded. That hurts.
No, I've been blowing in these cartridges for months. It doesn't work anymore.
Here you go. That's what it is. Beat him with it.
Crush him with it.
Yeah, Genesis rules. Here, take this. So, yeah.
Look, wrestling's amazing.
This is crazy. It's fun to watch some of it, though.
This, though?
When it's the right people.
Much.
Not the I don't like barbed wire and shit like that. But when you get Sandman is this guy. He's out of shape looking. Yeah. He's got a voice like this. He chain smokes.
That's the guy.
In the ring, on the way to the ring. Right. He's the guy that Steve Austin stole the beer drinking gimmick from.
Yeah.
He drinks a 6-pack on the way to the ring. Literally.
It's awesome.
Because they play the entire Enter Sandman song. And he goes through the crowd, snakes his way.
Minutes long.
Yeah, snakes his way in, pulling fucking beers out of his pants the whole time, opening them, slamming them, bashing him on himself on the head with them, and throwing him. So by the time he gets to the ring, he's bleeding from the fucking head. He's shit-faced. He just chugged 6-7 beers, and he's got a fucking kendo stick in his hand, swinging it at people. And he'll stop in the middle of the match, sit in the corner, and just reach in and get a cigarette out and light it, and just start smoking a cigarette in the middle of the match.
That's impressive.
It's a pretty fucking interesting character, and it was a fun thing to watch. And like, New Jack everybody had like this weird edge to them, and like Raven was like the grunge guy, like he had the flannel tied around his waist with the leather jacket, and he was like mopey, and like
he ended up being that in
Raven. He was Raven later.
WO later.
Well, in WCW, he was Raven. He had the flock and all that shit. Yeah, so that's what I mean. There was everybody came up with all these kind of characters, and acquired some of these characters and brought them in and made this totally different. These were characters you wouldn't see. Like at the time in the other federations we had, this was 95. This was just name some shit characters they had. Fucking Abe Knuckleball Schwartz was a character who used to be the Brooklyn Brawler, and he had his face was painted like a baseball.
Stupid.
Yeah. They had the Goon, who was a hockey player. He was one of the Irwin brothers. I can't remember which one died. So Scott or Bill, one of the two. I think this was Scott, if I'm not mistaken, because Bill was the better one and he died.
Okay.
So Scott had played hockey at some point in his life. So this is a hockey-themed guy who comes out, and his boots are like shaved on the sides at the bottom, so they look like skates. So they're like angled.
Oh my God.
That's how stupid that is. The Godwins, who were hillbillies. That was one of the teams Sonny managed. Duke Dumpster Drosy, who's a fucking garbage man. That was his gimmick. He came in the ring with a garbage can, like, hey, everybody, and his coveralls and shit. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's so fucking
pretty dumb.
Vince is obsessed with hillbillies, too. He got the more upset people can relate to them.
We're going to Kentucky.
Their cans of beer and broken down pickup trucks in their front yard. That's America. That's America. That's what I'm showing you right here.
So paint a baseball on your face.
On your face.
Because it's America's game.
It's better than Mantar.
Oh, yeah.
Mantar was this fat guy. They dressed up to be half man, half fucking mythical beast thing.
Right.
He came with a giant paper mache head on his head with a big bull thing on it, and he couldn't get through the ropes. His first match, he tried to get through the ropes, and he can't get the fucking mask is stuck on it and shit. It's pathetic. This is the type of shit that was going on at this time. So
what a stupid gimmick, because that's entirely backward. It's supposed to be the body of a horse.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But no, he had the head of one, and it was so fucking stupid. So that's what I mean. It's just dumb. Like, that's what's going on there. So if you're like a teenager at the time who liked wrestling when you were a kid, but then it got kind of corny, like me as a kid, I loved wrestling. And then about 1990, 91, I was just kind of 11, 12, I was just aged out of it. And I just wasn't really, it was kind of like,
It's weird now.
It was just, and plus it got real cartoony at that point, as far as like there was all these bright colors, and it was just different. So,
well, there were cartoons about it by then that were pretty popular.
Even in the 80s there was those, but by the 90s it had everything was like fluorescent fucking colored in 1992. Everything was like pink and green, and it just wasn't my thing. It was for like little kids, it seemed like for 5-year-olds or something. Like, my little brother liked it.
Do you blame Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior for that shit?
Ultimate Warrior didn't.
Product of it?
It was just a product of it. And then everybody, just that early 90s, everything was fluorescent colors and fucking bleached mullets, and it was a weird thing.
Weird shapes.
So I wasn't into it that much. But then when ECW came around, I remember my cousin showing me a tape of it, because it was on the Madison Square Garden channel at like 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays. Like it was, he would like set his VCR for it and record it. So it was like, it wasn't like anything you could find easily. Yeah. And he would show me this, and then he showed me Sandman like smoking in the ring. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they're hitting each other with weapons. And I'm like,
they're hiding this at 3 in the morning?
Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy.
Put this on at 5.
Yeah, this is fucking awesome. So anyway, New Jack says that the company had a security guard who was a 6'8", 400-pound black guy known as Big Motherfucker. That's what everybody called him. And he said that nobody ever bothered the guy because he's a giant big motherfucker, so he just left him alone. And New Jack, though, decided he wanted to fuck with the guy. So Paul Heyman says, quote, he stood on his tippy toes and got right in Big Motherfucker's face. He started screaming about him, about how Big Motherfucker now worked for the white man and how he had sold himself out, his family, and his people. And what I loved about it most is that the fire and ferociousness of the passion was so genuine that to this day, I can't tell you if he was performing or not. So I don't know if he was fucking with him. Right. Serious. You never know with New Jack. That's the thing. You have no fucking idea what's going on here. But we do know that it's not hillbillies, so that's good. So, by the way, T.L. Hopper is another character who was a fucking plumber who fixed toilets. T.L. Hopper, like a hopper, like the shitter. That's what they were.
Gross.
Yeah. People want to clean toilets. What was Vince thinking? People are going to want to clean toilets. That kids of the future will all clean my toilets. I'm going to train them.
We're going to get the working class people.
Yeah.
People that love baseball, that clean all sanitation, whether it's trash or toilets. Those are the people that I want watching this.
Obviously, yeah.
I need their mascots.
That's what it is. Yeah. Like, he just was like, what jobs do people have?
Right.
That was the 90s. Literally, like, what do people do out there? An insurance sale. It'll be hard to tell by looking at him. But garbage man, he can have a garbage can, and we'll send him to the ring with a plunger, and we'll paint a baseball on his face and make his boots look like hockey skates for the goon. This is perfect.
We need 2 more spots, man. 2 more. Tag team of hillbillies.
It's a tag team of 2 pig farmers. They're pig farmers, and they have slop, and they slop people with it. And that's exactly what he was putting out at the time.
Unbelievable.
And he was wondering why his business was going in the shitter, whereas ECW was getting more popular. So anyway, he starts bringing all these he brings a shopping cart full of weapons to the ring. New Jack, I'm sure.
A stolen
shopping cart full of weapons. And it's everything you can imagine. Signs from the street, fucking a pipe, like just things, crazy weapon things. He's billy clubs and steel chairs and all this crazy shit. So he said, quote, we had to do weapons match one night, and it went over so well that we decided to do it every night. That's how it started. It was different, and I enjoyed it. And he was doing all this shit. But here it was different because Philly, if you're like that, the people like you. Yeah. They're not like, we hate those black people. They're like, fuck yeah, kick them in the fucking face. Like, I don't care what fucking color you are as long as you're doing what they want.
Right.
So, Bill Behrens, who's a wrestling writer guy, he said, quote, we had gotten Jack heat in the South by being a, quote, uppity black guy, made him popular. It was like that was what they were for those hillbillies. But that made him popular in the Northeast. He was a face, a good guy. He was different. He was honest. And the Northeast, especially back then, as a teenager, I saw that guy. I was like, fucking cool. This guy's fucking awesome. Yeah. It's like Tupac is fucking bashing people with a goddamn fucking garbage can. This is great. This is the best of both worlds here. It's fantastic. So, it's very silly. So he says, quote, 1 week I was suspended. He got suspended for showing up late or not showing up at all or whatever. He says, quote, I'm laying carpet at home, putting the carpet pad down with a big staple gun. I was like, that would be good in a match. It's got 1/2-inch staples. So during the match, I pulled it out, grabbed a guy by the head, and stapled him in the head with it.
Oh, my God.
This becomes that's his thing. What he does, he'll staple things to people's heads to show that he actually stapled something. Oh, yeah. He said, quote, I like using the staple gun. Well, no shit. Obviously here. So, he said he showed up the next time, told the guy they were working with that he was going to use it. The guy didn't even know if he was serious, but he was. And he
in
did
the
it.
face.
In the head, forehead.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right in the forehead. Bink. He'll just...
Your bone's right there.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need a 1/2 inch.
Right in your fucking head.
Oh, my God.
All the time he does that shit.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
So, he says, quote, Mike Awesome, he was the champ of ECW at one time. I think he committed suicide a few years ago. He was one of the dark guys. He was a guy, he used to do these matches with this Japanese guy, Tanaka, and they used to both have chairs, and they would just fucking take turns bashing each other until their chairs broke.
Like punch for punch?
Yeah, but till their metal chairs broke apart. And they were real chairs that people were sitting on. They're not doctored, and they would just do it until the bolts broke and the fucking things. That's how hard they would bash each other. So you can imagine a bit of brain damage. Yeah. Mike Awesome asked me not to staple him. I just told him it's not going to hurt. He still didn't want to do it, but he took it. They all did, even if they were being a bunch of pussies about it.
Call me a pussy. I'm fine with it.
Staple
I don't
my
want
head.
to get stapled.
Okay, so ECW is really gaining popularity. They're even talking about running a pay-per-view, which is a big deal in kind of how you make money in the 90s in wrestling, is that's all your revenue comes from pay-per-view. They're just running monthly shows that they're releasing on VHS. Like every month has a different name for the show.
Cool.
It's, a culmination of some feuds.
Right.
It's like their little monthly pay-per-view.
Right.
They just release them, whatever.
It's like Anal Whores 9. There'll be another one.
There'll be another one.
Right.
So, Grace. This is Grace here. Just about to take off.
Yeah.
Because New Jack almost fucks the entire thing up for everybody.
Really?
Here. Yeah, this is one where it really helps to have the pictures here. But November 23rd, 1996 in Revere, Massachusetts. There's a guy who comes in. Basically, to start from the beginning here, somebody doesn't show up. Axl Rotten is supposed to be in this match, and he doesn't show up, okay? It's a tag team match, the Gangsters versus, I think, Devon Dudley, and it was supposed to be Axl Rotten. Yeah. Axl Rotten doesn't show up, so they need another guy. This happens in wrestling a lot, so they tell everybody that's like a hangers-on. Always have your gear with you. You never know when you're going to
get called up.
You never know. Yeah. Something could happen. So there's this kid there, this big 400-pound white kid, calling himself Mass Transit. Okay, he's like dressed like a bus driver.
All right.
That's what he is. He's got a bus driver uniform, like a big Ralph Cramden fat fuck, basically.
Yeah, from Boston.
From this area, yeah. And he's there with his father, and he's also there with a midget wrestler who was very well known in the business, who was kind of vouching for him. And this kid said he was trained by Killer Kowalski.
Yeah.
Who Killer Kowalski in the business is a legend and also ran a school for a very long time that produced Triple H as a Killer Kowalski guy. So yeah, produced a lot of superstars. So if someone says I was trained by Killer Kowalski, you go, that guy probably ready to step in the ring then. That's a good thing. So anyway, now what ends up happening is basically he Mass Transit comes in and they said, okay, we're going to put you in this match, and basically you're going to get the shit beat out of you. Yeah. You're just fodder, basically. They're going to fuck you up good, and you're the guy that's going to get beat, so none of our real guys get beat, whatever. So now basically what Jack says that Mass Transit said to him, this kid. Now, when you're a wrestler and you're new, especially if it's your first match in a promotion, you shut the fuck up. That's your job. And you wait for the veteran guy to tell you what you're going to do. Right. If anything you say to them, it would be, what would you like to do out there? That's the only thing you're allowed to say to them, not, I want to do this and that.
This is day one, soldier.
You don't know what you're doing, so you let me tell you what to do, motherfucker, and then when you know what you're doing, you tell someone else what to do. So this guy doesn't quite have that down, and he sits down and he says, look, I'm from this town, my family's here, I know I got to do the job, which means to lose. I got a couple of spots I want to get in, and I want to get color. Now, getting color means to cut yourself to bleed, okay? But I've never done it. Will you do it?
Oh, boy.
He asked New Jack. Now, New Jack said, quote, I said, gladly.
You're asking the right guy.
Yep. He said, no problem. I'll do it. He said, quote, him even talking to me was the offense, because he should have been over there waiting for me to come over there and tell him, quote, this is what we're going to do. He just get in there. I'll drive and you get in the back seat. That's the veteran thing. You come over, I'll be over here whenever you want to tell me, go over the match. I'll be here waiting for you. And you wait for the veteran to come to you. He went over there. Listen, I'm going to do this and that, and I want to get color. And Jack's like, all right, motherfucker. So basically, New Jack said he did a fuckload of coke before this match because he was pissed off.
Yeah.
And coke makes him all. He likes to do coke before he goes to the ring, and you could see it in his eyes. He's like a fucking maniac when he comes out. Weapons going fucking, and the music they're playing too. They had the Natural Born Killer by Dr. Dre. It's loud, and he's fucking coke crazed, and he's swinging weapons. If you're in the ring and you're unsure of, if you're a new guy, you're frightened by this whole exhibit.
And you're asking that man to cut you open.
Yeah. Well, here's what happened.
Yeah.
They get in the ring and they're beating the shit out of this guy. And I guess this is the point where, and you could see some of these moves are like, Jesus, they're laying him in. I mean, they're not pulling off on it. When they do an elbow smash, they're fucking driving it into him. They're
both of them.
But everybody they're trying to make it look good because fuck this guy. He's a new guy.
There's more than one person kicking his ass?
Yeah, it's him and his partner. Him and New Jack and Mustafa are kicking his ass. It's a tag team match.
Okay, so he's got somebody else on his team.
Yeah, but they're just letting him get his ass kicked.
He's just having a cigarette.
His job is to get his ass kicked here. So New Jack, he had what he brought to the ring was what he called a, quote, scalpel on a stick.
That's what a scalpel is.
Yeah. It was taped to a stick so he could hold it in his hand. And he said, quote, it looked like a knife because it had so much tape around it. So it's a lot of tape, and then there's a scalpel sticking out of the fucking top. Oh, worse than that. It'll slice you. So what he does is New Jack, rather than give a little cut to the forehead, he just sliced him.
Yeah.
Bad. Let's talk about it. He says, quote, when I was sticking him at first because his face was so fat, nothing would come out. And then the cocaine said, stab him.
Oh my God.
And then he made this like noise. And he said, and gave him a happy face up by the eyebrows.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Instead of like a jab,
you're supposed to just you do like above, in the hairline,
right.
You're supposed to do like a little, maybe an inch from side to side, so it goes along with the lines in your face.
Sure.
Otherwise, you end up like Dusty Rhodes with those fucking rivers up and down in your fucking head. So you're supposed to do that, and then it bleeds.
Right.
And especially if your heart's pumping and you're sweating, it mixes with the sweat, and it looks good.
Right.
What he did is start at one side of the forehead and fucking slice it all the way over to the other, down to the bone with a fucking scalpel.
Shit.
Let's hear New Jack talk about it. And I showed stills of him doing this in the live show, and it was
fuck, my forehead stings.
Oh, it's bad. New Jack said, quote, it was laid open.
Yeah.
You could actually see his skull. He was screaming, and I was like, damn, I fucked that white boy up. I was like, damn, I was jealous. I was like, I ain't never got color that good. By the way, blood was, and you can see it on and it's a shitty like handy cam footage. Blood is squirting from his, not falling out, squirting out of his forehead from a laying down position. He sliced his whole fucking forehead. It is disgusting.
Sit still, bud.
He's in a puddle of blood. It's horrible.
Sit still, I'll staple it shut.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't. So he said, wow, I ain't never got color that good, haha. Oh my God, no. And then Mustafa went to punch him and came back and said, damn, you cut that boy deep. And I said, I know. I said, I just don't give a fuck if he bleeds to death. At that point, I knew I was in trouble. Just go with it. You done committed a crime.
Oh my God.
So fuck it, keep going. And then after that, after he's laying there, then Mustafa came off the fucking top rope with a chair on top of him too. It was fucking disturbing. But the paramedics came.
Yeah.
He almost died, this kid, from blood loss.
Yeah.
I mean, blood was squirting out. The paramedics came. They got an ambulance. And this wasn't like the wrestling paramedics. These were like real paramedics with fucking ambulance and stretcher and
Boston
trying to...
PD.
It's crazy. That's where it gets crazy. Then he says, quote, apparently he was only 17. He wasn't even an adult.
He stabbed up a child.
Yeah, so the dad screams, quote, he's only 17. And New Jack screamed back at the dad who was at ringside while the kid's bleeding, quote, you shouldn't have put him in here with me then.
He's got a point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And he's like, and the crowd at this point's getting like, whoa, like the crowd isn't really with this shit because it's gotten like you can see blood squirting and the crowd's starting to get like, oh boy, this is not okay. There's a huge pile of blood, puddle. This is gross. So Jack is just walking around the ring in a fucking coke haze with a scalpel out, just shouting shit at the audience and trying to piss him off, saying that he didn't come all the way to Boston to lose to a cracker. And then he puts his foot on dude's stomach even more and starts shouting, I don't give a fuck if he bleeds to death to the crowd. He's shouting the shit out.
You're gonna.
So then members in the audience started chanting blood, 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 and you fat fuck at the dude on the floor bleeding to death.
That's Boston.
That's ECW.
Yeah.
That's just ECW. You fat fuck is a normal chant for them.
Jesus.
They chant you fat fuck at a lot of people. So they're chanting blood, 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 and you fat fuck at this kid as he's bleeding to death and his father's standing at ringside.
Wow.
Yeah. So Paul Heyman says that he thinks New Jack maybe went a little too far in this cutting. He also says that basically that the dude's reaction who got cut may have contributed to it looking far worse than it was. It doesn't matter how he reacted. It's
squirted,
It's
bro.
disgusting. He said, quote, but the kid panicked and started screaming. The kid was bleeding pretty bad, but it was from the forehead, which always looks bad, but it's not life-threatening. It is if you bleed to death. There was It looked like if you took like a fucking big gulp of blood and just poured it on the mat around his head. That's what was around the mat. I mean, it was squirting. I mean, he could have bled to death. Yeah. It was very, very bad here. So, he says Heyman still stands by him, stands by New Jack in this incident. Yeah. Now, is he sorry about this after he comes down from the coke haze? Yeah. Well, let's find out. He says, this is New Jack, quote, "I would never apologize for what I did to him or his family because I did it on purpose. I meant to do it. Do I feel sorry for it? No. It was good for the sales of my DVD. But do I feel sorry? Do I feel sorry for it? No. And I'm just true to myself, and I'd be lying to myself if I said that I did. I don't feel sorry that I did it. I wouldn't look at it now and say, damn, that was somebody's child, because if my son had gotten in the ring and let somebody cut him, I would have said, well, first, dumbass, you're supposed to do it yourself. And secondly, don't ever let the other guy do it. So, wow. Yeah, he would have said, get color on your own, damn. Because all this kid wanted to cut his own forehead. He could have, but he asked New Jack to do it. And he said, okay.
When did he say that?
What? This was later. This was later. Fucking 10 years later. Do I regret it? Fuck no. Fuck him.
I feel like that's some really, really terrible deposition words.
Right? No, this was like 2007 he said this shit. So Jesus Christ. So yeah, Heyman says that Paul Heyman's deal was, he said that described mass transit as, quote, he was big, about 400 pounds, a fat white kid about 5'9", big blubbery guy from Rhode Island. He was dressed up like a bus driver. He called himself mass transit. He had a phony resume, and he was illegally working some shows in Rhode Island, but the referee never knew it. The kid came in with a midget guy called Tiny the Terrible, a pretty well-known wrestler. I asked Tiny, you know this guy? And Tiny said, yeah, he's one of Kowalski's top students and had been wrestling for a couple years. Sure, I'll vouch for him. So I put him out there with Devon against the Gangsters. Before the match, New Jack says to him, do you want to cut a blade? The kid says, no, can you do it for me? It wasn't really done that often that you would let someone else cut you, but it wasn't so out of practice that it was a heinous violation of the wrestler's code. Because this does happen sometimes, because there's been guys that have been afraid to do it and said, hey, will you do it? But It's never a new guy with someone like New Jack. It's always like, if you had Ric Flair and you never did it before, you could trust Flair to do it, but, or, somebody like that, a top wrestler, but fucking New Jack's a coked up lunatic.
5'9", 400 pounds.
Yeah, he looked like a big ball. He looked like a big white ball. If you look up mass transit wrestler, you'll see him. Like his face looks like a fat suit almost.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
It's, yeah, exactly. It's really fucking bad. So, and by the way, do you want to cut a blade? Means they take a razor blade and they'll cut little tiny squares off that they're keeping the wristband to do it with. And he was offering it to him. You want to cut up a blade? Which was a nice gesture. Yeah. I had a blade if you want to cut it up. And this kid said, no, you do it. Yeah. So this kid, Coolis is his name, Coolis and his family later did an interview with Inside Edition, and they showed footage of, everything that happened, cutting him and berating him and all this type of shit. And the segment, though, really depicted like Coolis as a totally innocent, like he was drawn in, like ECW went out on the street and talked him into it or something, not he came in and lied and gave a phony resume. So, he did say, though, that Paul never asked for any ID from him, which probably should ask for some ID from him. But Paul said there was a wrestler that I know vouching for him, and the kid's father was there saying he's 18.
That's
so
the other thing.
He's like, what the fuck,
this is on your dad, not us.
At that point, yeah, your dad is your ID. So anyway, the story was completed, and then the Coolises launch a lawsuit at everybody. And, basically that's how that worked. And so what ends up happening is they were supposed to have a pay-per-view. This gave ECW national attention in a terrible way, and the pay-per-view company no longer wanted to have their pay-per-view on TV. So this really fucked everything up bad. Yeah. And so basically he had to kind of be put on the back burner for a little bit, New Jack, so Heyman could try to repair everything with the pay-per-view companies. New Jack says, quote, I didn't get fired, but they took me off the pay-per-view. I couldn't go back to Boston for a couple years. That was basically it. So he's asked, what was going through your mind during the match? And he said, quote, I was high. I didn't care. Didn't matter to me. The fucking fans loved it. I thought it was great. Okay. there's that. Let's see. Heyman says, quote, he's a nice guy if you're friends with him, but if you don't know him and he's sober, or if he's been drinking and you say something stupid to him, he's going to let you know. He's going to let you know and make it confrontational. So if he's drunk or sober, anytime there, he says there were a lot of walls he was putting up to protect himself from the pain he'd suffered. You're only going to get that you're only going to get within 10 steps of Jerome Young's soul. There's walls up that are just never coming down, not even for himself. Which is actually really smart. Heyman's a smart guy, and I think he nailed New Jack really well there. He's also in Beyond the Mat at this point, that wrestling documentary, where he is portrayed as a really interesting, like, affable dude.
Really?
Yeah, the guy loved him. The director, he loved New Jack.
Does he know?
Not really, but he just loves the guys, because New Jack, when he's just hanging out, he can get along with anybody.
Yeah.
He's real personable. He's real funny.
Right.
If he's not like trying to be mean or all coked up or anything, he's just a real easygoing kind of funny dude. So these two got along. The director and him got along. They show him like in a convertible in LA, like hanging out, fucking laughing. And he thinks that New Jack, there's something about New Jack, just something about him that he thinks maybe New Jack could be an actor based on the way he just is. So he takes New Jack to like casting agents and has him read all this shit. Yeah. And afterwards, the one guy's like, I think, this is a casting guy. He's like, I think, I could see him not like the lead, but like Denzel's friend. You know what I mean? Like I could really see that with this guy. And the whole fucking deal.
Sure.
They talk about his justifiable homicides and all that, but it gets New Jack some notoriety on a national level by this because this documentary was theatrically released. It wasn't kidding? Yeah, it wasn't a little thing. It was the fuck is the guy who made it? It's a director though that was doesn't do wrestling shit normally. He just made this as a documentary.
It's on like Amazon or something right
now.
Oh,
it's on everything. Yeah, it's on somewhere. But it was like at 97 too was the time when wrestling was just so mainstream that it was like, what's the deal with this shit? So anyway, late 1997, Mustafa Syed splits from New Jack and the Gangsters and leaves ECW and takes off. And basically, New Jack said about that, he didn't give a shit if Mustafa left. He said he told Mustafa, if you got a problem with the way this team goes, this is what you need to do. Quote, show up, be black, and collect your fucking check. Other than that, shut the fuck up. My team, shut the fuck up, is what he said. Show up, be black, and collect your fucking check.
I'll bet you Jerry Jones has said that before.
Scarily enough, I bet you're probably right. So he continues to do well, though. He's beating the shit out of people with chairs. Yeah. He even gets a little wrestling figure at this time, which I think we have over there.
Do we?
We have it. It's right second shelf.
Oh, there he is right
over there. To your left there, next to we have a New Jack that someone sent us after the live show. It's a great figure too. It's pretty awesome. So he's not on the ECW's first pay-per-view, and he said people came up to me and asked, where were you, working in Japan? He says, I wasn't in Japan, I was in jail. That's what he would tell people, and that would make his character even more.
Right.
He did say that his mother got angry at one point. He says, quote, my mother is a mark, which means a fan that doesn't know that it's fake. Right. Basically, my mother's a mark. When we were in Smoky Mountain and we did stuff where we were arrested, she understood it was an angle. But when we came to ECW and did that thing where we jumped Public Enemy, the next week Joey Styles said Jerome Young and Jerome Mustafa had been arrested. My mama phones me when she sees this and thinks I've been in jail. I told her it was an angle, and she says, no, they used your real names. You was in jail. I kept trying to explain, but to this day, she believes I was in jail last year. That was from back in that time. 1998 comes around. Junkyard Dog comes in for a minute. I don't know if you guys remember Junkyard Dog, but one of the biggest stars of the 80s. He was a cool motherfucker, too. He'd come in, and he had like a million, like Mr. T gold chains. Yeah. And the way he would talk, too, like he was very much, when he started out down south, he was like, fucking the black people down there he was like the hero, and then all the white people loved him too because he's just a fucking awesome guy with charisma.
He was in Hulk Hogan's cartoon, and I
loved
him.
It was it's Junkyard Dog. So Junkyard Dog apparently comes in to the ECW to do like a little shot or whatever.
How much does he hate him?
Well, basically, New Jack says that he gave Dog some weed.
Yeah.
Because I gave him some weed, I fronted it to him, and he never paid me back. He says, quote, he put on this show. We did a pay-per-view. He called Tommy Rich's house because they were having a cookout. And I told him, I want my money. And he said, I ain't paying you nothing. And I said, all right, you better pay me my fucking money. So when we showed up at the show and he was there, first I didn't say anything to him. He bowed up at me. I let it go. I went in the back and put all my stuff down. Paul Heyman, offered to pay $300 for Junkyard Dog just to not have him murder him in the dressing room.
I'm sure it was less than that. Here's $300.
Yeah, but Jack said, I don't want it from you. I want it from him. And he said, quote, I said I don't want no check from you. I said he gonna pay me. So he showed up and he said he didn't have it. He let me know he wasn't gonna pay me. I ain't paying you nothing. I'm the dog. And I said, all right. I have a pinky ring on, and I hit him and cut him right on his right cheek. He had to change clothes before he went to the ring because his shirt was bloody. Then a couple weeks later, he died, and they blamed that shit on me.
Holy shit!
He got in a car accident a couple weeks later.
Is that right?
Yeah, he did. He got in a car accident, I believe, going to his daughter's graduation.
Oh, that's fucked up.
And died. Yeah, died in a car accident.
To go and graduate?
Yeah. So
they blamed him.
He's like, blame me for that shit. So it's at this point that he is doing crazy diving things, basically. He says there he starts diving off of the balcony, which is pretty fucking high.
Yeah.
And he's using that, like, because in ECW you could go fight outside the ring. So he drag a guy all the way back to the balcony, beat him up, get him down, then climb all the way the fuck up to the balcony, which is 20 feet plus, and fucking do a splash on top of him from up there. Which is both crazy for him and crazy for the guy below. So that's what he was doing, though.
That was his bet on this guy not slamming all his weight on me.
He is going to slam all his weight on me. He's coming from 25 feet up.
Break his own fall.
You got to brace for it, and hope he doesn't miss. Hope he doesn't land on your head instead of your chest,
or your neck,
or hope he doesn't miss for his sake completely. So yeah, it's a whole deal. So this becomes it's his big flashy thing that he does, but Paul Heyman starts requesting it from him. Hey, you going to dive tonight? So then he's like, no, I ain't diving. Once they want him to dive, he doesn't want to fucking do it anymore. And the dives are really crazy. Like, they're scary. And so finally, Paulie starts offering him money to dive. Like, I'll give you $300 if you dive tonight. So then he'd be like, all right. He's like, I was going to dive anyway. But I told him no, so he'd give me money. Fuck it. So anyway, Mustafa comes back for a while. New Jack beats him a little bit. He says the first balcony dive, he says, was versus the Dudleys, who've been around forever. And he says, quote, I almost missed. It was embarrassing. I put him on the table and put him back too far. So when I did the jump, I realized I was going to fall short. I hit him, but I didn't hit him like I wanted to, but it went over. And so, he jumped off a fucking balcony onto somebody. They didn't care if he hit him or not.
Barely missed.
That was crazy. Yeah. So, this is, at the time, Colt Cabana, who has a popular podcast, who's a hell of a nice fucking guy, who we like him a lot. Yeah. He said he was growing up at that time, and when he saw New Jack dive off the thing, he said that made him his favorite wrestler at the time. He said, that's what I thought made a good wrestler, diving off balconies. I couldn't wait to be a guy that dove off balconies. My friends and I would dive off our roofs. Just do it, and that was influenced by New Jack. Yeah.
He's jumping off houses because of this man.
That's what I mean, yeah. Here's a guy, like a kind of indie wrestler who's been around a while. He says, when I was a kid, I'd be at the ECW arena. You'd hear the music hit and the place would go insane. Nobody's sitting down. Nobody's worried about getting hit with shit. The balcony dives were what made him. It was the aura and the essence. And, he says, they said, were you always high during these matches? And he said, a lot of times I was.
Yeah.
He said to dive off the balcony, he needed to be,
I'm sure,
fucked up. He said, they said, could you have done those balcony dives if you were sober? And he says, I probably could have. Did I want to? No. That ain't going to happen. He says that his coke habit was never a problem, though a lot of wrestlers would complain about the fact that he was always too high and violent. Mm-hmm. He says, quote, a lot of people were high. They wouldn't admit it, but I was like, it is what it is. I did it. They were like, fucking New Jack is high again. New Jack on drugs again. Fucking right I was.
Fucking right.
Okay. He said that Paul Heyman never stopped him from wrestling under the influence. He said, quote, he encouraged it. He knew I was doing it. He wanted to see him do crazy shit. That's why. He said, they asked Paul Heyman about it. He said, quote, that's a vague statement and I couldn't respond to that. That is very lawyerly, Paul. That is pretty impressive. So yeah, he would get extra money and all that sort of shit. Yeah, that's the sort of thing. Now, New Jack said he started doing this when he was a kid. He said, when my mom would get off work, I thought it was funny to get up on top of the house. She'd drive up into the driveway, and I'd dive off the top of the house right in front of her car. She'd get out and beat the shit out of me. So,
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking, that's hilarious here. Now, he claims, we don't know if this is true or not, but he claims that WCW wanted him at this point. Because this was when Master P was in WCW doing a thing. Yeah. And he said that Master P wanted him in his group, but that the people in WCW said they had heard bad things about New Jack and they wouldn't hire him.
Well, yeah, that's why Master P wants him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Master P's brother is a convicted murderer.
This dude's legit, yeah. So now, May 1999, he is charged with assault and battery and possession of a dangerous weapon resulting from the mass transit thing. They finally charge him.
Really?
Yeah, they actually do charge him. In court, his attorney argues that Coulis was injured in a quote choreographed and planned match, and that basically they asked him, well, why didn't you defend yourself in any way if this was such a horrible onslaught and wasn't planned? Yeah. So the Coulis kid testified, I wasn't safe in the ring and I wasn't safe out of the ring. Where was I to go? I didn't know what was going on. So basically the whole problem was then you have a jury going, well, how much of wrestling is real? How much is fake? How much is planned? And like in every other case, they don't fucking know. So he says, this is the district attorney here, to you, me, and the jury to determine what's real and fake in wrestling is impossible. He says even the police at the match were unaware this was anything but part of the show. They never know what the fuck's real. So on June 3rd, 1999, he was acquitted of assault there. Yeah, he always goes and takes to trial, by the way. He is not fucking around. He says, quote, did it and got away with it, free like OJ.
Free. All day.
Yep. That's what he says.
Unbelievable.
He promptly adopts a new slogan, not guilty, and puts a big sign on the front of his grocery cart full of weapons that says not guilty on it and wheels it into matches.
That little plastic spot where the ad is for the
not guilty.
Wow.
So next is a thing that happens to him March 12th, 2000 against Vic Grimes. Now, and I don't know if it was against or with, but either way, Vic Grimes here. Back in the earlier, Vic Grimes, New Jack is injured bad in this era, falling with Vic Grimes. Vic Grimes is a pretty big guy, pretty big wrestler. They are, I don't know if they're handcuffed together or holding each other's wrist. I can't remember. But either way, they're supposed to jump off the balcony together. Yeah. And Jack is like, all right, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to fucking jump. And the guy goes, I can't do it. And he goes, motherfucker, 1, 2, 3, jump. We got to do this shit. The crowd's waiting. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, jump. And he says, as New Jack jumped, the other guy... he didn't jump with him. And New Jack had him by the wrist, like, let's go, motherfucker. But he didn't, he paused. He hesitated. So he ended up, Jack fell, and this guy fell on top of him.
Motherfucker.
Crushing Jack's skull against the concrete. He said he had fluid leaking out of his eye.
Wow.
He was legally blind in one eye. I think he still is. It's all red still. He had headaches for years, he said. I mean, it cracked
he didn't die.
Yeah, he cracked his fucking skull open. He said it was a fucking nightmare. So he hates Vic Grimes for this shit. Hates his fucking guts.
The grudge.
Hates him as a wrestler, but in the independent wrestling scene, him versus Vic Grimes is a match that people want to see because they know Jack hates him because he fell on his fucking head. So it's one of those deals. So at this was in 2000 is when he suffered brain damage. New Jack did, falling off and blinded in his right eye. It was 15 feet he fell onto his head.
Holy shit.
Which is terrible here. And it was awful. So he was in bad shape here and made him hate fucking Vic Grimes. And it was great because in the live show I said he hates him, and then I had a picture of him stapling Vic Grimes' forehead. It's like, don't you wish you could just staple people's foreheads at work if they pissed you off?
That'd be nice.
Fucking Kathy from I am going to staple her forehead. I'm going to staple a report right to her forehead. I swear to Christ, I can't take it anymore.
I'm going to open her forehead.
Yeah, no shit. So 2000 here on a TV show called where the hell is this? What is this here? Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. So this guy here, so New Jack ends up on a show. He does a TV show in 2000 where he plays a bounty hunter. It's on an episode of a show called Early Edition, which it's basically this guy gets tomorrow's newspapers today. So he knows what's going to happen.
Good.
Yeah. There's just a guy who goes out, opens his apartment door, and gets the newspaper, and it's tomorrow's newspaper. So he has all the future headlines.
Seems like that show would
He doesn't know why.
I don't know, 3 episodes.
Yep, it didn't last very long.
Long enough for me to place bets and then retire.
That's it. Done. Bye.
What? That's a dumb show.
Let's see who won tomorrow.
Right.
That's pretty easy. Who's going to win later today?
And you'll never see me again.
It's just a Back to the Future situation at that point here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he plays a bounty hunter. Jack does. He also is in the Anarchy Rules video game, the ECW video game, which is cool. You could be New Jack. He also, this is perfect for him, by the way, he appears on Maury Povich's show in a Scared Straight segment as like one of the, you don't want to go to prison and see me, motherfucker, attitudes. It's like one of those guys, which is
perfect.
You get a teenage kid, sit him down and have this guy talk to him.
Yeah.
He will be on that straight and narrow real quick, real fucking fast. Now,
he'll do homework on the way home.
Oh, my God. So 2001, ECW goes bankrupt, the wrestling here, and so WWE buys it, as we know. And, he said that he had a few conversations with WWE, but it never amounted to anything. He said that one thing that he said that he went for a dark match, which is like a tryout before the main show. They have like 2-3 matches just to get the crowd warmed up that you don't see on TV. Right. It's one of those. He said that Dean Malenko, who's a big wrestler in the 90s, told him not to talk to Vince. He said, don't talk to Vince unless Vince speaks to you first. And so he said he went and immediately talked to Vince, obviously.
He doesn't seem like a guy that's going to follow your fucking rules.
No, he's going to do the opposite. Yeah. He says, quote, I didn't want to go to WWE anywhere but there because I knew they couldn't handle me. They knew they couldn't handle me. We talked, but we couldn't agree on stuff. The main thing was that they wanted to own my name and my character, and I wasn't going to give that up. Because that's what they were doing with a lot of those guys. They were bringing them in for a cup of coffee, and then they'd fucking boot them, but they owned all their shit then, and they couldn't go wrestle on the indie circuit with their own name. Right. And also then they could sell merchandise that had New Jack shirts would still sell well in 2000. Sure. So that was a little.
You're going to ruin my life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He said that he was just seen as angry, but he wasn't angry. He said that's the thing. He just wasn't angry. He said, quote, I was on coke, so I was probably just intensified.
I'm not mad. I'm just high.
I'm intensified, which is what I do on coke, you have to say. I like to do coke, so I'm more intensified. That's pretty awesome. He gets a ticket here. Actually, there's a warrant, so he gets arrested for having overly tinted glass in Ohio in 2001. May 12th, 2002, Eric Koulis, the mass transit, dies at the age of 22.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, due to complications from gastric bypass surgery.
Oh, the poor bastard.
Yeah, man, that's brutal.
Oh, he got it when it was new.
Yeah, and it didn't work out for him. His father vows to pursue the case against everybody. He says he's mainly mad at Paul Heyman, the promoter, but he's also mad at New Jack, but he says he's just a pawn. Yeah. He's just a psychopath, but a pawn. New Jack says that he had nothing to do with this dude's death, not to blame him. He says, quote, I didn't kill him. So that was that.
I'm not a doctor.
That ain't me. 2002, he is in, Vic Grimes is fucking won't get in the ring with him at this point, because there's a match that he has with Vic Grimes where he throws him off a scaffold that is very high above the ring. Yeah. There's it's hard to explain, but they have about 15 tables set up in the ring, and they have them stacked like 4 tables high. Yeah. So if you were to be thrown off a scaffold and land on it, you would go through like 4 tables, and it would look really cool. Yeah. Well, New Jack's up there, and the end of a scaffold match is whoever gets thrown off the scaffold into the ring loses.
Oh, they don't win?
That's how it, yeah. So New Jack takes him and fucking throws him off the scaffold and puts a little extra oomph into it. And he slams
him down.
No, he said tried to get him to miss the ring. He tried to throw him out of the ring so he'd land on the concrete and fucking die probably. They're up on a huge scaffold. So the dude hit the rope and bounced like back in onto the tables another 3 inches, and he would have went right out into the fucking or onto the post, which would have been worse.
Turnbuckle.
Yeah, onto the steel post. He says that, quote, he wouldn't get in the ring with me again after that. I tried to kill his ass, so I guess he wouldn't. If I wanted to kill him, I could have. I don't regret the shit that I did. Everything I did in the ring, I did it, and I can't take it back. So,
yeah.
Well, here's something that couldn't take back. April 2003, they're in rural Tennessee.
Yeah.
He is doing an indie show, and he's up against a guy named Gypsy Joe. Now, if you're a really, like, you got to be like 60 years old to know who Gypsy Joe is as a wrestler and have seen him on like TV. But in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, Gypsy Joe was a big star, big old star. But by 2003, Gypsy Joe looked like he was 107 years old, and I'm not kidding. He looks like he can barely, like, he's those short old man steps.
Why is he doing this?
But he's got no shirt on. He still looks like he's like in shape, but he's a clearly, you look at his head, he clearly looks like he's 85 years old. I'm not even kidding. So that's the match, is him and Gypsy Joe, which is ridiculous. So, fucking Gypsy Joe here, basically New Jack says that, there's two types of matches we could do here, and one's a hardcore match where I beat the fuck out of you, and the other is a comedy match, and I don't do fucking comedy matches, but what am I supposed to do with an old man? So they said, well, we'll go out there and have a match with him. Mm-hmm. So they get in the ring, basically, and Gypsy Joe he's not cooperating exactly with New Jack like he wants. So New Jack starts beating the shit out of him. And this Joe is a tough as nails motherfucker, too. I mean, he's getting hit with New Jack's laying punches into him, and Joe's taking that shit and just kind of getting back up again. Mm-hmm. So then New Jack starts hitting him with weapons and all sorts of different weapons. They get outside the ring, and he starts hitting him with a baseball bat. And I'm talking, he's fucking wailing this old man with a baseball bat, and he's just like, get right back up again every time.
Jesus.
As he's doing this, beating this old man up, the high school gym crowd of maybe 75 hardcore redneck hillbillies start screaming the N-word at him and shit.
Wow.
Oh, they got racial in a second.
Sure.
I mean, all of them. We'll fucking kill you son of a bitch, N-word, this, that. It was fun, son of a bitch, carrot top bastard. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it was wild. Like, we were like, what the fuck is happening? He did this to this guy, and that was that. He walked away, left, and then, this guy left basically holding the crowd off of him, like, get the fuck back, or I'll fucking swing this bat at you people.
Yeah.
Because they were, like, coming toward him. And, so he
pinned Joe finally?
No, he just beat the shit out of him outside the ring and walked out. That was the fucking match.
Is that wrestling?
No, but it was what he said he was going to do.
Okay.
So in 2004, he's arrested for simple assault and also recklessly endangering another person. This is in August of 2004.
He did that to Joe, too.
Yeah, this was a separate thing. But in the worse than that here, coming up, October 9th, 2004 in Jacksonville, he's against a guy named William Jason Lane, and this is the Thunder Wrestling Federation. It looks like it's in a hotel's like meeting room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that hotel carpet.
The Sedona Ballroom.
Yeah, that's what it looks like it's in. There's a ring in there and like some hotel meeting chairs and stuff set around it.
Right.
It's one of those things.
Whatever Florida theme it is.
Yeah, it's Thunder Championship Wrestling.
The Sailfish Ballroom.
Yeah, so he basically he goes up against this guy, and this guy's a new guy, and he says outside the ring, in the back, they're talking, and this guy's like, yeah, whatever you want to do, Jack, that's great, we'll do this, and you can do that, and sounds awesome, and this guy was just, a good rookie going along with the plan.
He's into it.
Whatever you want to do, Jack, that's great with me. I'm just happy to be working with you. So he's like, perfect attitude, great, I'm gonna fuck you up, beat you, and that'll be the end of the match. Great, right? So they get into the ring, and this dude starts trying to fucking fight back. You'll see Jack go to like push him in the corner, and this guy like hit him in the chest, and Jack's like, you could see him being like getting frustrated with the dude. Like the dude will back him into the ropes, and Jack will be trying to get him off him, and he's like really like holding him on there. You could see Jack just start to get real frustrated in there. You just see him like kind of trying to hold the guy by the fucking neck a couple of times, just like shove him off him. Like, what are you doing? Like he tries to body slam him once, and the dude tries to body slam New Jack, and he's like, oh, backs off. Like, the fuck are you doing? But it's not an act. You can tell he's just mad at this fucking guy. So what he does is he's got the guy kind of backs him up into the rope, so he's got him in like a front face lock with his head down, and you see New Jack reach down into his pockets of his cargo pants there and pull something up, and he pulls up a big blade, and he just starts fucking stabbing this guy in the neck with the blade. Casually stabbing him. I'm talking stabbing his flesh with a knife. Okay? Then he slices his back near his shoulder blade. You see him go and slice him. So the guy backs the fuck up, right? What the fuck, right? So then Jack goes after him, and he fucking goes after him. He cuts him. He stabs him 5 more times.
My God.
Stabs him a few more times. This guy kind of drops to the mat. So then New Jack starts fucking kneeing him in the head really fucking hard. So the guy, he's kneeing him in the head, so the guy falls out of the ring, rolls onto the ballroom floor, and everyone's like, holy shit, is this supposed to be happening now? And after New Jack's thing, this is kind of, you don't know if this is happening.
Right.
This is like when Bobcat Goldthwait set Jay Leno's couch on fire. You're like, is this supposed to be happening 25 years ago? So, you know, all this is going on. So New Jack jumps down on the floor, slashes him again, stabs him, and keeps stabbing him in the fucking back. Like,
oh my
you just
God.
see him. He's just like stabbing him in the ribs and back, like casually.
Nobody
just
stops
boom,
him?
boom, boom. They don't know if it's part of the show or not. They don't know if it's real. They don't know if it's part of the show or if it's who. That's the thing in wrestling. No one wants to stop. What if it's a fake match? What if this is the plan and you're going to jump in and stop a match in the middle of it? You just fuck up our whole match. Shit? So they don't know. They just trust. I hope this is fake. So what he does is he realizes the dude's really hurt because he's been stabbed a shitload of times with a big old fucking blade. Oh, and he explains too that the blade was yay long, is what he says. It's a fucking long. It's like a whole box cutter if you like put the blade all the way out.
Thing out.
Yeah, it's like one of those here. So basically that he does this. Jack ends up standing and like keeping his foot on this guy on the floor to hold him in place as he like fucking waves people over, like, might want to help this guy. So a promoter and an undercover cop comes over, and New Jack grabs the promoter, and New Jack's mad at the promoter, so he attacks him, and basically ends up the cops jump back from New Jack and everything. Like, they don't know what's going on, and that's when the whole tape ends there. So you wonder what the fuck happened. And Jack says about the whole thing is the guy wanted to do a hardcore match with him. He said, quote, he didn't know nothing other than I don't give a fuck. Whatever you want to do. That's all he would say. That's what we doing. I said, right on. That's what he wants. We get in the ring. We lock up. He punched me in the eye. Then he punched me in the jaw. Then I grabbed him and we hooked up, and he tried to pick me up and dump me. I had a blade about 8 inches, an 8-inch blade in my pocket pants. I pulled it out and started stabbing him. And they said I stabbed him 14 times, and I did not stab him 14 times. I stabbed him 9. It was 9. It's on the tape. It was 9. The cop came. I went to jail. So he says, quote, this is not celebrity wrestling. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let you get in and get your jollies off because you've been watching me on tape all your life. Would I do it again? Yeah, I'd do it again. I'd stab the shit out of somebody else if that shit happened to me again. Do I feel bad about stabbing him? No. Should he have died? Yeah. I'm glad he didn't, but it is what it is. That's what happened. I take my job very serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An 8-inch... That's a lot of blade.
Oh, it's a lot of blade, and he was just fucking sticking his ass with it, too. Wow. I mean, you just saw it was real casual. Like, he wasn't like, this is a big decision in my life. It was just like, pep, 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 pep.
Wow.
I'm sticking this guy. I don't give a fuck.
Holy 8 inches is so much blade.
Dude, it's a lot of blade, and he just didn't
The majority
give a shit.
of us don't have that much dick. That's
yeah,
a lot of blade.
It's a lot of blade. Huge blade. He says, quote, other than listening to the knife sliding in and out of his flesh, it didn't bother me one bit. I was sticking the shit out of him, and every time it made the same noise. And he does like a yep. He says, I hope I got. He said, as that's going on, I'm thinking, I hope I got bond money. He says, as sick as it may sound, it's not an adrenaline rush. It's more funny to me to have some idiot in the ring with you thinking he can handle you like that, and you've been in this business as long as I have. It's not an adrenaline rush. It's some, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that shit, but I'm doing it now, so it's too late. Here it comes, you know? Let me get an attorney and get the fuck out of here. That's it. It's no adrenaline rush. I knew I was going to jail. The fuck? I stabbed the boy 9 times, dog. With a blade about this long, and this much of it was going in, which is about half the blade he did. He goes, that wasn't a rush. That was like, damn, I hate that, and they have that on camera. That's all it was, nothing else. So, yeah.
It's attempted murder.
Oh, yeah, it is. He's arrested.
Jesus Christ.
He's arrested in Florida on a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon after this. They're calling it a 14 stab wounds. He is held on $40,003 bond at that point here. Scheduled in a month for a court appearance. Unable to post the $5,000 bond needed to get released at this point.
He hung in.
Yeah. He says, quote, it was a brutal brutal match. He says, they made it sound like I cut the motherfucker in the parking lot. They made me sound like Jeffrey Dahmer. He said, it was a match. This is bullshit. It made it sound like I hunted a stranger down and stabbed him. Like, we were in the ring together.
In and out of context, you still sound like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. Either way, especially if Dahmer wasn't like, yeah, that shit was great.
Right.
Fucking dicks are delicious. He never said that. You saute him with some butter and some fucking shallots. Fucking dope. That never came out of Dahmer's mouth.
But he did also go to boys and be like, what do you want to do? And they're like, I want to do this. He's like, yeah, I want to do that too. And then he sawed their fucking head off. So where's the difference here?
That's not too much. So he's facing 15 years in prison for this, which is crazy. He's looking for bail money. His website had been attempting to raise bail money. He had an eBay auction where a winner would receive a call from him from jail. You're auctioning off a fucking... a call.
Would you accept a collect call charge from?
Well, it said, quote, New Jack will call you at home, work, or office, which is probably work. Yeah. Note that this will be a collect call from Jacksonville, Florida jail, where the original gangsta is waiting to stand trial for 14 counts of assault with a deadly weapon during a hardcore match. It doesn't get any cooler than this. That's what it says.
What a contest.
Oh, my God, here. So... He told police that they had planned to use a piece of metal to inflict some kind of injury. That's what they had talked about beforehand. And, Lane, who's the guy he stabbed, he said that he told officers he wasn't sure what happened, but that this is a dangerous sport. So maybe that's what it was. Like, he was like, I don't know if I did something wrong or what the fuck happened. A fan said, quote, it was something you don't expect to see on a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Not even for a hardcore match. All you could see was the knife going in and out. Holy shit. It's his girl, Frankie, Lane's girlfriend here said, quote, it wasn't supposed to happen like that, but it did, and he got hurt pretty bad. So they said they had done a lot of hardcore matches in the past here, and young Jerome had been here. New Jack had been at these matches, smashing fluorescent light bulbs over people's heads and all that kind of shit.
That's nuts too, man.
So the event's promoter was a guy named Maurice Williams, who's actually New Jack's uncle.
What?
And apparently, basically, that this guy wanted to have a hardcore match with him, and it is what it was, basically. Now, they offer him a plea bargain on the front to serve 12 years instead of 15. They offer him a plea bargain at 12, and he says, quote, if I'm going to do 12, I might as well do fucking 15. What am I going to do at 55 fucking years old? May I take your order, please? You want cheese on that? So
let's go to trial.
Let's go to fucking trial. Got nothing to lose. He tried to scrape together some money. He got $300 for the call from jail, by the way.
He's 40 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. 63.
This is 2003. Yeah, 2000. Wow. He's like 42 years old. So he basically he tried to get some more cash to let a person visit the prison there, and so the person's gonna fucking come bother him in fucking prison now. I guess that sounds like fun here. But what ends up happening is the charges are dropped.
What?
The charges are dropped.
By who?
Well, let's find out. Let's let New Jack explain it. Quote, he asked me, this is the guy he stabbed, by the way, quote, he asked me, he came to the jail. He said, quote, if you will train me, I'll drop the charges. I said, done. I said, you are trained, bruh. He said, you'll take me on the road with you? I said, hell yeah. Boom, done. No, perfect.
Yeah.
Went to court, got the charges dropped, got the fuck out of Florida, ain't been back since. Fuck him. First of all, he ain't had no business in the ring with me. Know what I'm saying? He told, He
didn't even train him.
Fuck no. He lied to him. The second he got out of jail, he got the fuck out of Florida, just didn't go back. Told him to go fuck himself. So the district attorney said, quote, the victim wanted the charges dropped. He said he knew Jack's MO was cutting, and they kind of agreed a certain amount of blood would be drawn. So the DA has agreed to drop it. So New Jack was out about $8,000 in bail and attorney's fees, but charges were dropped, and he said, once again, free like OJ. If OJ killed a woman on film.
The best $8,000 he ever spent.
Yeah, no shit. November 2004, he's in a video game, Backyard Wrestling 2. There Goes the Neighborhood.
Oh, God.
That comes out. It's on PS2, Xbox, all this type of shit. New Jack is on the cover wearing his camo outfit. He's got like the black, like urban camo, with a chain around his neck, holding like a fucking, it's got like a Sith or some shit.
Really?
It's like a deadly weapon like he's holding.
A knife.
A knife of some kind. He's got a blade on a stick, basically, of some kind. In the game, New Jack's character constantly yells, "Not guilty."
Nice touch.
Not guilty as he's punching people. That's pretty fucking awesome. Oh, that's great. Jack was the first wrestler hired by the game maker, he said, to participate in it. He said, quote, "When I was casting this game, I asked who are the most hardcore wrestling icons out there. New Jack was on a short list, a very short list." Yeah. So May 13th, 2005, he's arrested for a speeding violation. I don't know how fast he was going, but he's taken to jail for that as well. He ends up in 3PW wrestling for a little bit, and this was a wrestling company owned by the porn star Jasmine St. Clair.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. Well, let's let New Jack explain it. Here, he said that he didn't like her, and he said, quote, "On one hand, you have snorting coke, and on the other hand, you've got getting fucked by 360-something guys in one day. Not stopping there, he said, bitch, I heard you had to ice down your pussy for 2 days after getting fucked by almost 400 guys." That's because the owner is Jasmine St. Clair. She's a porn actress who set the, I guess, record for the largest, whatever, was fucked by 360-something guys in a day on film.
But you can't say that about your boss.
No, that's what he said. He didn't want to go there. He says he hates her. He says that he was once booked for a show, but he had some problems at the airport in Atlanta, and he realized he wasn't going to make the show in Philly, so he called up. But Jasmine says that he says that Jasmine went on the internet and wrote that New Jack had double booked that day and screwed her out of the booking, whatever. So
also, I'd be more afraid of the woman that doesn't have to ice her pussy after that.
I would hope that she would have. I would hope anyone would have to ice down
anything that you get fucked by that many
400 of anything fucking you. Yeah. Now Jasmine's boyfriend is the wrestler who wrestled as the Blue Meanie in ECW.
Really?
Yeah. So Jack says, Jesus Christ. Well, at least he was her boyfriend. I'm not sure what their current status is. Do I have heat with Jasmine? Fuck that nasty hoe. The Blue Meanie, I hope he dies of AIDS in the next 6 months. I hope his kids are born with cancer. I hope your mama gets hit by a fucking bus.
Gave him a time limit.
6 months. All of those things. Wow.
Jesus fuck.
Blue Meanie's response to this?
Yeah.
He's always been a true professional with me. He's been a great guy, and he's one of the best talkers ever in the wrestling business. I'm not even saying that because he's standing 20 feet away from me with a knife. I'm just kidding. So this was at a convention. He said that, and he's like, I think he's a great guy after he said, fuck him.
Obviously, I'm horrified.
I don't want to be stabbed, so he's a wonderful, wonderful person.
What a great guy. I credit him for the nice things he has said about my wife.
She is very, very versatile, and you know what? She can put up with a lot. We'll put it that way.
She can take it.
Perseverance is her middle name. Perseverance. 2006, he did a show in Philly, which was at the ECW Arena. They were doing a pro wrestling explosion show, is the name of it here. New Jack is arrested there because he flips out because he ordered a Sprite at the concession stand and was given a 7-Up.
Oh, boy.
And he flipped out and started yelling at the woman who gave it to him. Jesus Christ. A guy working as a member of the ring crew came out and yelled back, New Jack to leave her alone, and then New Jack knocked him out. So
this is In-N-Out Burger. That's what we have here.
Yeah, someone called the police, and New Jack had locked himself in a room, but then eventually he's taken away by cops, and he has ended up not being arrested because the ring crew guy that got punched decided not to press charges because it would look bad.
And he will murder you.
And he'll murder you. Now, New Jack, during an interview, they said they were talking about this, and they go, can you really, is it that big of a difference? And he goes, I fucking hate 7-Up. I like Sprite.
There's no way he can tell.
So they did a blind taste test. They brought out Sierra Mist, Sprite, and 7-Up and had him taste. He sips and he goes, Sierra Mist, 7-Up, Sprite, and he was right.
Wow.
He knows his shit. He knows what the fuck.
Can you taste the difference?
Sierra Mist is much sweeter. 7-Up is more dry.
Yeah,
Sprite is more lime.
7-Up is rad.
Yeah, 7-Up's good.
So good.
They're all good.
It's much better.
The Sierra Mist isn't that good, except for the sugar-free one. That's really good. Not sugar-free, but the real sugar one, not the
big fan
syrup.
of Sierra Mist.
You had one last week while we were recording in my house.
But there was no Coke in there.
Oh, there was no. I got you. Yeah, you got the Dr. Pepper and cream soda now. That's a good one, by the way.
Favorite.
Those are really good.
I really like when you have that.
That's
it's a good day.
That's good.
I pushed the 2 Cokes out of the way to get to it.
Yeah, do it. Good. Knock it out of the way. I got more. Don't worry about it. I stack them. You know how I do. I got soda stocked. Yeah. So basically, looking at it, looks like 2006 and 7, he's wrestling about 10 shows a year. Yeah. About once a month, he's going out there and doing shit. 2009 and 10, or 8 and 9, only a couple of matches here and there. Yeah. 2009, he is at the Terry Funk Roast, which is for Kayfabe Commentaries, the Sean Oliver's company there, who I was on his podcast after we did the Marty Jannetty show.
Boy, do I love a good wrestling roast.
Oh, my God. Well,
they are great.
They're funny. This one, though, the Terry Funk roast, the problem is everybody liked Terry Funk a lot, so no one really wanted to say anything bad about him, because he's like a legend who like no one has a bad word to say about. He's just like, oh, well, Funk's a great guy, and that's what all the stories were. The Iron Sheik roast was great because they were just making fun of him being a cokehead and a lunatic and crazy, and
how he fucked Macho Man's girl.
Yeah, all shit here, how he wanted to fuck people. And so the Terry Funk roast, though, New Jack ends up there.
Oh my God.
And he basically rambles for like a half hour and walks around the audience, and he's insulting people. It's fucking crazy. And he says this is when he first realized he had a drug/alcohol problem. This is when he first realized, when he saw himself on this DVD.
And then he realized he wasn't even invited to this.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, I don't even know these people. That wasn't Terry Funk's roast. That was a little girl's bat mitzvah. This is fucked up, man. I called her a whore and stabbed her father. That's not right?
This was an episode. This is a taping of Toddlers and Tiaras.
Fuck, this is not cool. He said that he really loved drinking with Percocet and Xanax. Those were his 2. That's what he would do all the time, and they would make him do things that were, not stable.
I can understand.
2009, he starts dating Terry Runnels. Now, if you remember her, she was Dustin Rhodes' wife.
Okay.
Like Gold Dust. Remember Gold Dust? The chick who used to come out with Gold Dust?
Right.
It's Terry Runnels. That's his wife. Okay. That's his real life wife, who then they got divorced, and New Jack started dating her here in 2009. Wow, what an interesting fucking show. What an interesting, I showed her from then in the live show. I showed a picture of her from 97 and her from now, and it was like, holy shit, is that the same person? What happened? Oh my God. God damn. So anyway, she's with New Jack at that point, which is a weird couple. Yeah. Just the fact that I don't even know how they would know each other. They weren't like in a wrestling thing together unless they ran across each other in an indie show or something. Probably. It's weird. So he said, though, it went bad very quickly. Number one, that his pills started disappearing.
Oh, no.
And he was pissed about that. You don't fuck with a man's pills.
No.
And Terry claims that she was flushing them down the toilet to help clean Jack up. And Jack said, man, fuck that shit. He said he did some investigating and found out she was eating them. Yeah. She wasn't flushing shit down the toilet. He said that taking his drugs was the last straw. He was done. That was it.
And he walked out.
That's it. He said that she took it poorly. And then he started spreading shit about her, and then she sued him for defamation of character for talking shit about her.
But was it true? I mean, I guess you got to be able to prove it, right?
Apparently, he said that basically Runnels had the same. He said that she had an agent who was Steve Harvey's agent, the comedian, which is, I don't know why
would he be representing that?
I don't know. But he said that he basically tried to get New Jack to hire New Jack to keep Terry from being a drunk and being able to do professional appearances and shit. He said that Terry would get out of bed at 5 a.m. and start hitting the bottle. This is what his alleged thing is that she sued him for.
Oh, really?
That New Jack says that. Yeah, that Terry would get out of bed at 5 a.m. and start hitting the bottle.
Wow.
He said that he was kept out of some of her circles because she wanted to hide what she was doing. She said that the whole thing. Basically, they were like a. She kind of hid this whole part of her life. They said they tried to work some indies together, but Terry wanted to be paid more than him, and Jack said, fuck that shit. if we're going to go out together and I'm taking bumps, we're getting paid the same. You're not fucking getting paid more than me, but she's more famous is the way she's looking at it. So she tried to get according to him, she tried to get him to move in with her, but her house was being foreclosed on and Jack wasn't going in he said, to save her. He goes, so he wanted me to move into a foreclosed house. He also said that Terry kept Dustin's last name for marketing purposes, and he takes joy in knowing that dating her for a year and a half has tarnished her image.
I ruined her.
He said that he would, he went on to really, Jesus Christ almighty, this is so gross.
What does he say?
I gotta say it. Yeah. He said that he would fuck her while she was on her period, and that she really liked to blow him right afterwards.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, to get the
sweet fuck. Yeah. Oh boy,
that's why I didn't want to do it.
Whose kink is that? Oh Christ, no!
She also enjoyed licking Jack's asshole.
Okay,
and he said,
I get it.
He said, quote, she'd get ass drippings all over her face, wipe them off, and dive in for more.
Oh, what? Why is he doing this?
I don't know.
Who needs to know this?
Not
Jack?
Me.
Oh,
not
fuck,
me.
Man.
A couple 100,000 of our listeners, apparently. So, I mean,
she would get ass drippings.
It's a turkey carcass.
Why is your ass dripping, man?
Oh, man, what is happening there? At the visual drippings.
Right.
He said that she only has 4 of her own teeth left in her mouth, and he figures if he had taken her to a desert, she'd melt because of how much plastic is in her body. She thought that New Jack was going to sell nudes of her, so that also led to a court case. And also, she said constantly that she thought Jim Ross and Vince McMahon wanted to bang her, which Vince McMahon definitely wanted to bang Terry Runnels in the 90s.
I think he maybe did.
That I have no idea.
Possible.
She also says that Brock Lesnar has a tiny penis.
That's one she did.
So that's one she did, and she says tiny dick on Brock Lesnar. So there's that. Yeah. So I hope he never runs into us after that.
Brock and his tiny dick.
Yeah. Now Jack says that that Terry wanted to straighten him up so that he could take care of her and her daughter, basically. And Jesus Christ. So Jack isn't having any of that. He's not taking care of anybody else's kids.
No.
He says, quote, bitch, I got like 11 kids I don't claim. Why the fuck would I take care of yours?
He's got 11, you think?
11, that's what he says. I got like 11 kids I don't claim. Why the fuck would I take care of yours?
Solid point.
Yeah, he posted all sorts of her images of her like without makeup and shit like that. Like they were in like an online battle. She was going at him and then she was suing him, and it's fucking crazy. He said he was selling images of her engaging in sexual acts through his inbox. He said, quote, I got nasty pictures for sale, and trust me, they are nasty. Holla at me. You can take the bitch out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the bitch. Holla at me in my inbox. So, he also stated that he underwent STD testing due to his belief that he may have contracted an STD from her. And he also announced that he was negative, though, there. And Runnels posted something the next day. He says, prayers for Dakota and my mom. Dakota's her daughter, as they are being put through hell. I sincerely thank you for all your support. God bless us all. Yes, even the ones that hurt us. And then she was quoting biblical passages in response to him. And he said instead about this, okay, she's doing biblical passages. And he said, all right, you want to talk shit? Let's do it. So he said in a blog post that, he accuses her of having an STD, abusing painkillers, being a bipolar alcoholic. This is what his thing. This is the entirety. Quote, she drew first blood. Now Terry Runnels is toast. That's what he says. In response to Terry Runnels and the garbage she is saying, 1, I left Terry because she's a bipolar alcoholic who gets up every morning at 5:30 to make a very stiff vodka and cranberry. Every morning. She's hooked on perks. Bad. Double exclamation point. She is a very big liar, and the Terry Runnels that you and the world know is totally different from the one I've had to deal with. She's not the sweet little innocent girl she pretends to be. 4, her house is in foreclosure, public record, and been there for 2 years, and she thought I was going to be her savior. 5, she doesn't want a man. She wants a butler and or a driver. 6, she let her daughter bring online stranger over for Christmas without checking him out. What kind of parent is that? Jesus. But one of the main reasons is that I found out the hard way that she had herpes since she was 18 and had no problems hiding from people while having unprotected sex. I'm waiting for my test results upcoming. Trust me, this is going to be much bigger. So, yeah.
That's a wild accusation, man.
Yeah, I would say so.
And especially if you find out you're negative, you can't just say that shit, can you?
Well, then he also says, she is the fucking devil, just like that good-for-nothing bitch Terry. Oh, because she's talking about somebody else, talking about someone else. And to say that her new little boy toy treats her, loves her better than Chris ever did. Holy shit. Oh, this is about Tammy. This is about Tammy Sitch. Talking about, is a goddamn insult to him. I saw pictures of that trick with a dick in her. And she was still with Chris. She got caught sucking dick for perks in the backseat of somebody's car. Fuck that trick, bitch, and the air she breathes, and tell her little bitch-ass boy toy that if he has a problem with what I'm saying, he can step up. She is not going to do this to come clean. That bitch is fucking broke, and you're all paying her to support her pill habit. That is that fucking drunk. All of those washed up bitches from WWE are broke, right, Terry? Hoes of the Federation are easy to get in bed. Hoes of the Fed are easy to get in bed. All it took me was a Facebook and perks, and that little blonde nasty bitch was hooked. Wouldn't you agree, Dustin? Intervention, my ass. Who are you supporting? That bitch's drugs and drinking. Intervention to who? A bunch of goddamn marks that she can't see? Holy shit. He's going off on her, man.
I like that he hit her with a rap bar.
Yeah, that was good shit there. He said, how could she talk about Chris, of all people? Chris, bitch, he got you in the business and he supported your dumb ass until Vince signed you, and then you went to the Fed and blew every dick swinging. Chris was my friend, you little nasty, no good, you little nasty, good for nothing slut. Terry was right about one thing. She said that you sucked your way to the top. Keep it gangsta, you stinking ass motherfucker. That's to Terry. That's to Tammy Sitch there. Yeah.
Keep it gangster.
You stinking ass motherfucker. Now, Terry Runnels denies drug and alcohol abuse claims completely, by the way. Just for the record there. New Jack claims that Terry consented to the sex photos and to him, and also had considered selling them, and that he just sent them to a friend with no charge. So Terry in her suit claims that she consented only because she assumed the photos would be kept private, duh. And I would say so. He claims that the only reason they broke up was that Terry found out he was cheating on him, or that he found out Terry was cheating on him with her dentist. Okay. So there's that. So, I mean, Jesus Christ. There's in his wake right now is just a lot of waves, and he's leaving some shit behind.
Guys, stop doing that.
His bloody mom, too. Think about all. I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy. All these people. But not nearly as bad as I feel for Jerome Young, ombudsman at Texas Department of Aging and Disability Services. Important guy.
What the hell's an ombudsman?
I have no idea.
I've heard that word since I was a kid.
I have no clue what that means.
Clue what an ombudsman is.
I don't either.
Don't tweet it at me.
No.
I don't care.
I want
to go through the rest of my life.
Well, yeah.
I want to be on my deathbed going, what's an ombudsman?
Well, we would have found it out by now if we gave a fuck. You know what I mean?
If it fucking mattered.
It's not like a comptroller or nothing. So, Jerome Young, senior financial consultant for general practitioners in Thames Valley. It's a health services thing in the UK. Jerome Young, lecturer at Keio University in Kanagawa, Japan. So there's that. Jerome Young, supervisory contact representative at the IRS. There he is. Went to the University of Memphis. 2013, New Jack is retiring. He says he wrestled his retirement match, which was versus Necro Butcher, who was another kind of a very famous hardcore guy. He's a Canadian guy.
You're 54. It's done.
Yeah, well, some of the guys wrestle forever. Flair was still out there. Dusty Rhodes was wrestled the week before he died. I mean, he was like 70. Him and Terry Funk were still wrestling. And now during the match, New Jack stabbed Necro Butcher's forehead with a fork. Well, Abdullah the Butcher tribute maybe here. Necro Butcher pressed the staple gun on New Jack and all that shit. New Jack put a garbage can lid on his dick and then slammed the lid with a chair. Things like that. You know how that goes here. So Jack says about wrestling, dude, it was a job. It was a job to me. I don't have a moment where I can say this is my best match or this is what I did and I wanted to do. I don't have that. I was a part of something that paid my bills and I was cool with it. That was it. When I did tell Paul Heyman that New Jack doesn't care, Heyman didn't believe him. He said that I believes that he did care. He's going to miss it, all that kind of shit. He says he doesn't think about it, but he will miss it. He says that about this, he says that he's adjusting to retirement. Says it's a different life now. I'm just dealing with pain. I'm going to a pain management doctor. It's working. He gives me pain pills.
There you go.
So yeah,
that's why.
That's that. So 2013, like I said, Terry is suing Jack for libel. Basically, she's suing him because he said that they hooked up because he supplied Percocets to her. And that was the thing. The whole deal with the daughter and the Jesus Christ, basically. He said the main reason he stuck with her for so long was because it drove every white boy in the business crazy that ever wanted to screw her. So there was that. He said there was that. Let's see here. So her legal response or all this shit here is, that ends up being dragged out. And by the way, there was fucking lawsuits are so weird with wrestlers talking shit about each other because that's almost like suing a guy for body slamming you too hard. It's like a weird thing because he can even say, I don't know. It's very strange. So anyway, he didn't blame. Basically, he said that he didn't end up with any STDs out of the whole thing. And all of that. Now, 2015, Hulk Hogan has an issue, as you might...
that's right.
Yes.
About his daughter's boyfriend.
Now, yes. Yeah. Now, he's talking about his daughter in this thing here, in this video, and he says she's making some real bad decisions. My daughter Brooke jumped sides on me. This is Hulk Hogan's quote. I spent $2 to $3 million on her music career. I've done everything like a jackass for her. And then he said about how a black billionaire guy offered to fund her music career, and he says, quote, I don't know if Brooke was fucking the black guy's son. I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I'm a racist to a point, fucking N-words, but then when it comes to nice people and shit and whatever.
What are you saying,
That's Hulk
Terry?
Hogan. Either not good things here. Basically, he said, quote, I mean, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some fucking N-word, I'd rather her marry an 8-foot-tall N-word worth $100 million, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking N-word.
No, Terry.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
How is he still...
Now,
important?
I put this in here only because it's fucking hilarious because in response to this, New Jack puts up a picture of him and Brooke Hogan together, which is amazing troll job. Just it's like smiling. Yeah, motherfucker, you like that? Which is great. That's his response to it. That's why you love New Jack here. So, New Jack, July 2015, he says he's coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
He's going to do it. He says he's out of retirement. The gangsters are available for booking. Mustafa Sayed's back. It's all good.
How old is Mustafa?
Same age-ish.
God.
www.bookprowrestlers.com. That was 2015, though. 2015, he's actually wrestling. There's a pic of him wrestling. 2017, he says, I'm doing stand-up comedy now.
Oh, no.
That's his new thing, which is weird. Well, King Kong Bundy was doing stand-up, like actual, like, working jokes, clubs and shit like before he died recently. New Jack does some stand-up there. He says, you know what? I had someone tell me one time. He said, New Jack, you've been doing comedy for 17 years. You just didn't realize it. You talking about wrestling, right? He said, if you just learn how to, they call it trimming the fat, off a joke. He said, trim the fat, cut it down, hit the points, take it home. He said, and you can do that.
Who the hell told him that?
Anyway, 2018, Brian Christopher dies, Jerry Lawler's son, who we did the episode on, and New Jack tweets a response to it here.
Picture with him and Brooke Hogan?
Yeah, he says, quote, Jerry Lawler, now that your son is dead, why don't you go join him, you sorry fuck?
Wow.
He hates Jerry Lawler.
Boy, does he go hard,
He doesn't give a shit. That's what I mean.
That's impressive.
Now I have pissed off some of you fucks because I mentioned Jerry Lawler. I have been called a lot of names, but I've never been called a child molester, Jerry Lawler. That's what he says. Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. Then he says, quote, fuck Brian Christopher, fuck Jerry Lawler, and fuck fuck every one of you fans who like those two cocksuckers. I don't give a fuck about none of you motherfuckers.
Free like OJ all day.
Free like OJ. So, yeah. And then he followed up and he said, this might not set too well with some of y'all, and I could get less than 2 fucks, but I wrestled in USWA with Brian Christopher in 92, and he was a very little disrespectful motherfucker then. So fuck him and his daddy. And for those of you who don't like my post, fuck you too. And then a little bit later, he added on to that and said, you still mad? Doesn't give a shit. So 2019, July of 2019, he wrestled. The last I saw of him wrestling. So,
just
I mean, July 12th, 2019. Like exactly a year ago, fucking yesterday. Yeah, exactly here in a hardcore battle royal where he, I guess, won the battle royal here. July of 2019, he also announced that he's writing his memoir, New Jack, Memoir of a Pro Wrestling Extremist.
How much is that going to get edited?
It actually, well, it's on Amazon. He wrote it. It's not a WWE book, really? So I mean, he'll write whatever he wants.
But somebody's got to edit it to make sure he's not putting something in there that'll.
I mean, maybe libelous,
get him arrested,
or that. But otherwise, I mean, they'll put out whatever they want. It's on Amazon right now. It was released in February of 2020, so it's there.
Whoops!
Not too.
He didn't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying here.
Puts a book out and everybody goes into pandemic.
That's a fuck. Well, that's actually good for him. Yeah. Who is this? Somebody said this quote: I think there's a certain level of entertainment value when you book New Jack on your show that you don't get with some other wrestlers. You're not going to have the edge of your seat excitement when you're wondering what's going to happen. Even if you're at a small indie show where there's only 100 people, it's still going to be like, okay, something really fucked up could happen right now because New Jack is here. He creates a level of believability that is missing from professional wrestling. Wrestling has become a joke in terms of believability and characters. It's nice to have something that you can still think, oh my God, was that real or not? That's what makes him unique. That's what makes him the most feared man in professional wrestling, and that's why he'll always have a job. And it's true. He was wrestling last year. Can't get enough of New Jack?
Boy.
There's plenty. Plenty of it out there. You can see him on. Just go to, if you have the WWE network, look at those old ECW shows. He's all over them. You can watch some of the like 97, 8, and 9s when he starts diving and doing all that crazy shit.
Think he kept those knives to sell later?
I doubt it. He probably was too disorganized to keep them, though. You can get New Jack t-shirts, New Jack wrestling figures, get New Jack's book on Amazon. I recommend it. I'm sure it's wild as fuck. Yeah, he's out there. Holy shit, that's New Jack, everybody.
Word.
And we've been talking about him for years, about what a crazy fucking show he's going to be, and I don't think we'd let it down.
No, except for...
and if you saw the pictures, it was even crazier.
He is the luckiest man in crime.
He just keeps plowing through.
Killing and striking and stabbing and
admitting
slicing.
it, not giving a fuck, and then taking it to trial.
Wow.
He doesn't care. Prove it. That's his whole thing. Prove it, motherfucker, because he's not scared. He doesn't care. He's not scared of shit. He just does shit. He just is, man. It's wild. He's a force of nature. That's New Jack. If you enjoyed that show, I know how you can tell us about it. Get on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon. Give us 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say.
Right.
Say you're following instructions. Say you're following directions. Say you're fucking free like OJ. Doesn't matter.
All day.
Whatever you want to say, get on there. It helps us out a lot on the business end. We have no idea why, but it does. Drives you up the charts. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything small town murder and crime and sports related. Everything is on there. All your merchandise and your tour dates, or whenever the hell tours are going to happen. You can buy tickets, and then whenever they end up happening, you'll have tickets. So do that and listen to Small Town Murder on Thursdays if you're not, because you're missing out hard. Listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie on Fridays if you want to hear me be tortured by romantic comedy movies that I yell and scream about. That's a lot of fun. Do that. If you want to follow us on social media, we are at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, and at Small Town Murder on Instagram. And if you want to be a bigger hero to the show and also get some stuff for yourself here, this is one of those deals. This is like donating to charity and getting a write-off if you're like a rich guy or some shit. You know what I mean? You do something nice and you get something for yourself too. You can go to patreon.com/crime and sports and make a donation there. Anything over the $5 level gets you access to all of our wonderful bonus materials, and we do them every other week for both
the nice
shows.
Thing he was talking about.
That's the nice thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's you get that.
It's not a write-off.
That's
that's what
you're
I
getting
did
that
once because I'm an idiot. I don't know anything about taxes.
No, that's very bad. So you're getting these bonus shows. Next week, we will be doing Vince McMahon's steroid trials and tribulations, and literally trials when he was brought on federal trial and almost went to prison. That we'll talk about that and a couple other little Vince McMahon suits that happen there. Excellent. And but you really want to get on there because you want to hear Small Town Murders bonus that we put out this week, which was the all violent felon edition of the Prisoner Dating Game, which is basically me trying to see if Jimmy's going to pick the pedophile. That's basically it.
Trying to kick the shells off the table looking for the ball.
That's what it is, man. So listen to that. Check that out. Seriously, you can do that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And if you want to just make a one-time donation just because you're a good person who wants to have fine karma and thinks we deserve it, then you know what? Easy to do that also over at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. And God damn it, Jimmy, there is only one thing left to do. I've heard a lot about stabbings and coke and drugs, and I need to hear the names of the most wonderful people in the goddamn face of the earth who would never, ever, ever staple their Patreon donation to either of our foreheads. Hit me with them, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Jessica Robbins, Mary with no last name, Joanne Ahern, Chrissy Ann Cristaldi, Melissa Turner, Staley Brumley, Marissa Bean, Adam Carpenter, A. Shaw, or a Shaw, I don't know.
A Shaw.
It's one of them. Kate Perkins, Jennings Sicaro McCoy, I think, Leslie Boyd, Ellie Hennessy, Dominique Balsoma, Carissa Wilson, Carol Habib, Jordan Bennett, of course. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
Dan Kay, Karen Dersh, I think. Not Fred. No, that was Durst. Sorry. Naomis Rodriguez, or Naomis, I think. Megan Klein, Joe's daughter, obviously. Monica Lemmings, Jen Crowley, Brian Cotton, Alex Eldridge, Gimme Women Sukuk. I think they were trying to be silly there, but it didn't work out. Layla
K. Didn't know who they were dealing with. You have to be able to read the joke for it to fucking work. So.
Layla K. Eric Smart, Jessica with no last name. Also Jessica Higgins, Armand, or Armand. John with no last name. Sensalucia. Antini? Probably not. I'm sorry. Jacqueline Hall, thank you so much. Aspen Cloud and Cody Leversey. Thank you guys for everything you do. Other producers this week are Rob Hemmig, Molly Fletcher, Anthony Malarchik. No. Vicky Hedges, Marla Halpenny, Eric the Brown, Marnie with no last name, Honey Skivalaki, nope, Mitchell Alley, Sam and Wendy Susan Stalker, Lacey with no last name, Victoria Redder, James Lease, Brenda,
got that.
I think it's Brenda Beckett, obviously. Renita Ruckus, Kaylin Goff, Joey Murphy, John Fwong, Mauricio Arcila, Cheryl Cornwell, William Beechenow, probably not. Josh Hammermeister, Marty Crowther, damn it, Kelsey Marita, Doug Vinci, Elaine Martin, Elizabeth Airhood, Aaron Everett, Rachel Helton, Vanessa, I think, Angelique. Michelle with no last name.
You got this,
Jack
Jimmy.
Michael Ward, Matt Reed, Jamel, nope, yep, Shannon, damn it. Vanessa Jimenez.
Shannon, damn it? I don't know. That's a good name.
Jamel Shannon.
One of the New England Dammits?
Yes.
Or is that the West Coast Dammits?
You had it right.
Oh, okay.
You've heard of them.
Yeah.
JP, Craig Robinson, probably not the guy, comedian. Andrew Haywood. Noah Saros, Tom Calandrella. What the fuck are with the tough last names? Dana Suchel, I think. Sukel. No. Tara Sejas, Kevin Bartlett, Mackenzie Bolin, Kevin B., Bill Tessier, Courtney Hummel, Diane Connery, Sean's wife, obviously.
No, clearly.
Jonathan Hayslip, Tyler Green, Andrew Higginbottom, Allison Newble, Jesus God, Daniel Cody, Kristen Morgan, Orion Maiden, like iron. Got it. That's the joke. Understood. Jessica Hedges, Jacob Hoover, Candy Fagan, Jim Goln, Goliv? Fuck. Ashley with no last name. Amy Waters, Kelly Leach, Luke Keogh, Sarah Waddell, Fernando Gutierrez, Keenan Finn. Oh, FTW. I don't know what it is. Sandra Dengler, Cole Hildebrand, Yep, Ash Anderson,
Sure.
Joni Price, Rochelle Scoggins, General Apeshit, that's easy, Quackles, Jessica Daniels, McNugs, Rohan Bahas. God damn it.
I think you got that one.
Hang in there, Rohan. You're a great dude.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Kyrie's daughters, Lily and Haley, Amanda McPherson, Chelsea Tibbett, Kendon Mockett, Adam Boyajian. Probably not. Here we go. Amina Sally? It's 2 S's. I don't know.
Sure.
Troy Johnson, Darlene James, Caitlin Parsons, Derek White, Lisa Partika, Jeff Angel, Devin Merriman, I said Derek White, Harvey Jordan, Tawny Lee, Braden with no last name, Stephen Kennedy, Dee Mintum, Brad Rice. I hope it's not that country singer, you motherfucker.
You lousy bastard.
He did a fucking country concert. I
saw it. Fucking idiot.
Motherfucker.
I don't know who the hell he is. I'd never heard of him before.
I don't know who he
but
thinks he is.
I just saw there was a lot of people standing around like assholes.
Clint with no last name, Kelly Kunecki Martz, Michael Carfunkel, Clara, Skrabanokadev.
You fucked up the first name?
Skravenkonov.
Wow.
Skravenkova.
Yeah.
Lindsay Hardy.
Some of that.
Franca fucking Frankincense. Sanchez. Michael Carfunkel. I said that. Joni Price. Andrew Bonham. Ricky Gibson. Norma Granger. Cade Kettler, Chase Pickenpaw, Jessica Yates, Liz Krajewski, Ryan Ebling, Rika Daniello, Rika, I don't know, Sam Baltz, Caitlin Brunna, fucking, what is that? Bruin Nicole? This can't be right. Debbie Bosna, John Brace, Katie Barrett, Chantel Pirota, Sadie Barrett, Brandy Groven, Tracy Reed. Is this for real? Quesadillas? Is that real?
Quesadillas?
Oh, got it. Understood. Well done.
Quesadillas.
Ted Nutlicker. Somebody fucking told people to fuck with me this week. I swear to Christ. Adner B. Delia. Bettis. Why
Take
fucking,
a breath.
why give me a fucked name? I can't figure out the real ones.
Deep breath.
Brooke with no last name.
There you go.
Barracat, Josh Boosley, Patrizia Galino.
Downhill from here, Jimmy. You're cruising.
Courtney Kurtz, Alex Gagne Bluin, Tora Graham, Drew Rainey, Kayla Rippey. I'm trying to find the puns because I know that there's a shitload of them.
You're worried
Dixon,
about them.
Yeah, Dixon My Butts. There you go. You happy, you fuckers?
Yeah, got
Jen with no last name, Andrea Fellows, Dana McManners, Lisa Hinsey, Emily Crosett, Liz Fisher, Chad Ackerman, Max with no last name, Laura Latner, Leslie Slaney, Addison with no last name, Christy and Matt Bosco, Andrew Weber, JJ James, Faye with no last name, Dawson Robb, Mike Brown, obviously the coach of the Steelers, likes us, Stephanie Poole, I think is what I wrote. Mason Johnson, Jamie Elizabeth, Tex Tickles, James. That's
Mike
what they
Tomlin
do.
is the coach of the Steelers.
Oh, yeah. Who's Mike Brown?
Mike Brown is
Who's he the coach of?
He's an owner of.
Is he?
He's one of the owners. Yeah.
You're right, Tom.
He's Paul Brown's kid. Possibly the Bengals owner, I believe.
I mixed up Antonio Brown and Mike Tomlin together.
Yeah,
that's what I
that's
did.
That's good.
All right. I'm not. Jesus. Mitzi is she? Oh, God damn it. Mitzi G. That's her. That's who she is. Tex Tickles. Do you get it? Like testicles. You understand? Rochelle Farmer or Rachel Farmer, that's what that is. Frank Lucci, Vishnupriya Vijayan. What? That can't. It's probably right. And I'm
going to say it's just probably someone's name.
Feminarcotic. God damn it. Amy Nidecker and Nicholas Brown. Oh, look here. We got more. Casey Ostrander, Cody Kinnison, Al Mitrix Shin. No. Nicola Stenhouse, Matt Britt, Veronica Cullen, Megan Holke, Carrie Henson, Heather Lemonade. No, Lewade. What is Lanade? Leware? I think.
How the fuck did you get lemonade out of that?
I don't know what I did. Carrie Henson, Megan Holke, Dawn Marias, Melissa. Oh yes, Jenna Jeline. Aurelia?
You almost called her Ari.
No. Bradley? That's probably a dude.
The wheels have come off.
Fool of the world, which is me.
Sparks are flying.
Kamui Dude? Dowd? What happened here? Selena Jean Hayden, Cassidy Paragay, no Perigoy, Ashley Walls, Shay with no last name, Che, I think, Kyle Harner, Melissa with no last name, Colin Bogoski, no, yeah, it is, Jennifer with no last name, Alden Body, I think. That sounds like a pun, but it's probably not. Ellen Preninger, Mark Forward, Amberly Bolanos, Amanda Berry, Andrew Catron, Jenna and Daniel, Richard Little, Tracy Vaughn. That's not right. That's not real either, is it? Dick Little, is it real?
Dick Trickle was a real guy.
You're right. Matt with no last name. Vaughn Luke, Ben. I'm trying so hard. Jonathan Matson, Maggie Cohen, Tracy Vaughn, Ben Camerotero, Sierra Matato. I don't know. God damn it. Odin with no last name. Cody Drought, Kate Drew, Olivia Larson. They are fucking with me. There's an Arabic word. How am I supposed to read that?
Maybe it's a name.
Arabic Tribune? That can't be somebody's name.
That's not someone's name. No, probably not.
I don't know what the word is, though. I can't read it.
Is it like, it's letters. Yeah, it's the Arabic letters?
Yeah. I'm not.
Well, take a calligraphy course and then get back to us.
And go, whatever, pronounce that.
Figure it out.
Donald LeBeau, Belinda with no last name, Cody Beretta, Olivia Larson. I said that. Matt Cahill, Sarah Firestone, Aaron Wolfenbarger, Rebecca Burstein, Carol Brogan, Joyce Lewis, Case Reedus, Matt French, Holly Damarin, Matthew with no last name, Lindsay Trottier, Jose Espinoza, Jen Willis, P with no name or last, Shantae Carney, God damn it, Caitlin with no last name, Dustin Van Dyke, Delinda Andrews Lewinge, Andrew Kirkerick, Michael Holleran, I think, Blaine Fanning, Tony Webb, Alex Brown, Ben with no last name, Justine Reynolds, Rochelle Ridge, Alice Hills, Vanessa Banyard, damn it, Tom Kusavelsky, Giamona, Carrie Gilio, Scott Stevens, Augusta Heiberger, Sari Mullen, Penny, Sklarski, Shawnee Solt, David Baker, and then the home stretch. Ryan Willis, Lisa R. Aaron Smith, Adrian McNulty, Brooke Kale, Tyler Gwill, Eric Castillo, Amanda Knight, Stephanie Agoa, Kaylin Simpson, Louise Rayfield, Marissa Cole, Paul Adelman, I think.
You wrote it.
Ollie's Deco Stop, that's one.
That's easy.
Jackie Sukup, that one's easy. Janice Hill, that's easy. Matt Nickerson, Robin Anderson, Connor Hessian, Delinda Andrews, Simon Brown, Christopher Palcow, Lisa Graham, Jesse Pitts, Katie Marie, Tom Hoskins, Rebecca Kimball, Amber Tia Silvinsky, Jerry or Gary with no last name, Robert Gwynn, nice email, thank you so much, Stephen Hawes, Craig Neal and Alan Hill, Thomas Smith, Marta McCammons. Oh, her husband, Seth, is turning 30. Happy birthday.
Hey,
Ashley
happy birthday.
Vio, Elizabeth Leatherland, Charles Hoegel, Carl Kirshner, James Martyr, Liz Vasquez, Peyton Meadows, Craig Ventura, Denise Simon, Vanessa Silva, Mariah Hardiman, Andrea Reynolds, Lexi Rowland, thank you for the coffee, Susanna Platt, and Bill McClellan. You guys, thank you for ruining my life, for making it so much better.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us. We really hope you're enjoying the bonus stuff that we try to really crush that for you and put it out for you. And it's a lot of fun. So thank you for everything you do for us. Jimmie, what if they wanted to thank you or tell you something terrible? How could they do that?
You can find me at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks. Thank you guys so much for everything you do, especially supporting this show. You're why we do it. Where can they find you?
You can find me over at Jimmie P is Funny, or you can just copy and paste my name name from the show description. Make it easier on yourself because you're not going to spell it right. So do that. Follow us. Keep listening. Come back every week. Listen to Small Town Murder. Do all of this shit, damn it. Yeah. Everything like that. We had a lot of fun. Thanks for waiting for so many years. We've been asked, when is New Jack? I don't know, 300 times in the last fucking 2 years. So
I know.
They wanted it bad. Like they did bad, and now you got it. So enjoy. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.